physics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, the Cult of Dangerous Gentlemen is live on another beautiful Sunday afternoon. Here to talk about some powerful and important topics. And one of the main topics of this week is it okay to be white? Some, depending on what persuasion you are out here in the simulation, you might have your own opinions. You might have your own ideas about whether or not it's okay to be white. Maybe it's a conversation that needs to be had, clearly. But we had some pretty famous people discussing these things this week, and it seems to have everybody up in arms. But before we get into that, I just want to say peace to everybody. I'm sure the brother's been having an awesome week this week, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. That stuff.
So we're going to get right into it. We're talking about, the person we're talking about here is the author of the comic strip called Dilbert. And, most people probably know exactly what that is. That's just been around for like at least 40 years, right? It had to be in publication for like 40 years.
And a cartoon show?
It's it was a cartoon show. It did have a fully animated show. I'm real old school, so I remember it from like the actual comic strips in the newspaper too. But he's definitely upset some people. I'm actually looking for some of the shorter clips. But before I guess we could just go straight to the brother Maj Touré and his illustrious opinions. He seems to be a little bit upset about it. So we're going to jump right into it. Has he blocked the entire cult, by the way? So the entire cult is now blocked?
He will not block you.
He won't block me? That's crazy.
He won't block you.
Oh, the volume needs to go up? Let me check the comments. Somebody said the volume needs to go up. Let me bring y'all up a little bit more here. Bring everybody up a little bit more. But yeah, I wonder why he won't block me. He seems to be he's had it with everybody else, but I don't know, dude. Something's up. I'm glad we still got an ear in on what's going on with him. No, hold on. Let me hear the guy here.
The Twitter sphere or whatever have seen Scott Adams, his rant about how he's not going to help black people, so forth and so on. Scott Adams, if you don't know, he is a cartoonist. He's responsible for the cartoon Dilbert. And he said some things, right?
This video is brought to you by Black Guns Matter.
Oh, bro, right there in the middle.
Black Guns Matter.
No, let him get his plug. Let him get his
All right,
plug.
we'll give him his plug, but this is interesting.
Shop.com. Get all of your pro-liberty, pro-gun, pro-freedom solutionary gear at blackgunsmattershop.com.
In this rant, which came from a poll where 53% of black people in this poll say it's okay to be white. And from this somehow...
That's not all it said, to be fair. It didn't just say it's okay to be white. I think the original question was, is it okay to be white? And they asked them how they felt about white people in general. And a combined percentage, that this is one thing that Adam, he didn't mention it was a combined percentage, but he said over 50% of them said that they don't like white people. Over 50% of the black people polled said they don't like white people. But it was a percentage that didn't like white people, and there was a percentage who were like down the middle, like, I'm not sure, I don't really know. You could kind of probably chalk that up to I don't like white people either. Because I'm sure if somebody asks a white guy, do you like black people? And he's like, well, that's, you put him in the racist category, right? That's automatically a racist. So 52% of black people say they don't like, something around 50% don't like white people. So his stance was, maybe if they don't like white people, maybe white people should, get away from them. And somehow this has upset people. I'm not really sure why. I haven't fully figured it out yet, but let's see what he has to say.
He goes into this rant in front of the camera saying how I've helped black people all of my life. I'm going to stop helping black people. This doesn't end well. If you're white, you should just go and not be around black people, so forth, yada, 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 yada. And here recently, he's doing an interview with a good buddy of mine, Hotep Jesus, and I watched it. I watched a decent chunk of it. And it's just pandering and like backpedaling. This is.
Oh my! I watched it too. There was no pandering and there was no backpedaling. In the conversation with Hotep Jesus, I should probably bring that one up a little bit too. It's just difficult to find the pieces. But he was talking in the interview with Hotep Jesus about how he's been involved with black business for a long time, like helping black people, donating money to causes that are centered around black people. He said that he openly identified himself as black in the last couple years because of all the work that he was doing and this conversation that was happening around Rachel Dolezal and trans red, like all of that shit. And he was like, I identify as black from now on. So this is not something that popped up. I don't remember this ever coming across. Oh, white dude says he identifies as black and blah, blah, blah. So he's been involved in this stuff for a while. He got involved, he said, pretty deeply with Black Lives Matter. And he found out.
That's where he fucked up.
Well, he said he found out that it was like a fraud organization, and he didn't snitch on nobody. He didn't call nobody out directly, but he said when he was trying to get things handled, and when it came to being like solution based and trying to do shit, he was running into the same kind of, boy, you know how.
Yeah, the white man is the devil.
Well, if
Why
you put somebody
be involved in black people's business,
it's like if somebody talking a good game, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, let's go to the gym, bro. We gonna work out, man. I'm trying to show you I bench 500 pounds." And one day you be like, "All right, I'm ready. Let's go to the gym." They'd be like, "Oh, well, let's try next week." And shit like that happens in business too, I'm sure. People act like they're gung-ho about something, and then when it gets down to it and it's time to actually pull the trigger, you see who's about it and who's just spinning their wheels, who wants to dig down deeper into the red tape, who wants to fucking just blow money that they have coming in on their own personal shit rather than actually solving problems. And I don't see no issue with that, because one of the best ways to find out what's bullshit and what's not is to get deep into it. A lot of people got deep into their religion and came out the other side like, you know what, fuck all of this. This is stupid. A lot of people get deep into a lot of shit, and the only way you really figure it out is once you down deep enough. You can look from the outside and be like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter is awesome. They helping black folks. But if you sitting in the office looking over the paperwork and shit, like, where did that $1 million go? You might have a different attitude. You got a different perspective, a different insight on how the business is going versus somebody who's just watching from the sidelines. But again, I still don't see the conflict yet. I haven't figured it out.
This is the highlight of the Karen, victim, weak, passive-aggressive, white male shit.
Oh, does he think he should stay and shoot the black people that he doesn't want to be around?
Yes.
Is that what? Because it just
He's
occurred to me. He's like, why don't you just stay and kill us?
He wants the old racists back.
Stay and defend yourself. Stay and defend yourself with what you learned in Maj Touré's self-defense classes.
Oh, he can
That's
sell
right.
guns to both sides, and then
Mhm.
right? I get it.
Rothschild.
I get it. Yeah,
Good for you.
this is capitalism right here. That's what this is.
Yep.
Shit.
Gotta love the
Okay,
pants too
and this
much.
is not saying that this is all white males, because my white homies don't do none of this type of weak shit. Okay,
Oh, he has white homies.
you said what you said, Scott.
I have to say, and Doobie, you can let me know if I'm right or wrong here, but in the spirit of fairness, I have to mention that if you use your friends as a way to give you gatekeepers' rights through talking about somebody else's race, that makes you racist by default, right?
Correct.
Okay, I was just checking, because I know if a black person, if you're questioning a black person on their opinion, if you're questioning a white person on their opinion about anything that has to do with black folks, and they say, I have black friends, or as we've also been lovingly told, I have good nigger buddies, whatever one of those sentences you say, that makes you racist. Like, oh, you got black friends? Oh, so that's like, he just nailed his own coffin. So he said, my white homies. It was a kind of a slick way of doing it, but I have to still say, I'm going to call him. I got to pull the race card.
Spade's a spade.
It is. It has to be.
Stop it.
The reality is, a poll does not justify someone taking their anecdotal lived experience, right, and saying, well, I've helped black people all of my life. First and foremost, you didn't help black people all your life. You don't know all black people, Scott Adams, right? That's number one. Number two, black people probably have not fucking asked for your help, right? I hate this white savior complex
I'd like
that
to pause that there. There's plenty of black people asking for the white man's help.
and maybe not him directly, but maybe they didn't know. But first of all, he didn't say he helped all black people, so that's like a weird caveat. He said, "I've been helping black people." Right? That was what the guy said. Now you're trying to turn it into an all thing. Now he's saying that they probably didn't even ask for your help. So what do you think he did? Do you think he like kicked in single black mothers' doors and strapped their children to a chair and gave them a fade and cut their hair and shit for them forcefully? What kind of help do you think this dude is saying when he's like, what kind of help can you force on people who didn't ask for it from a philanthropist perspective? Most times they set something up, they make things available, they provide resources and funds and shit for people who are looking to be repaired in some kind of way or looking to be uplifted in some kind of way. So to take what he said and then turn that into they probably didn't ask for your help, that's super disingenuous. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all. This guy's a shill. But
yeah, but still, I mean, to be fair, I mean, can you ever go on the internet and see any black people asking for money? That doesn't exist.
No,
there's no
black
people
have GoFundMe's for that. That doesn't.
Donations.
There are no black leaders or black figures online or part of any organization centered around race that are going around asking for donations and money. It just doesn't exist. So he's right. It's a catch-22. Scott Adams didn't help black people who asked to be helped, and there's no such thing as black people asking for help. So it's a conundrum. It's a paradox. I don't know how we resolve.
God, this is an amazing take, I have to say, even from him.
Black people need white people to help them, and that's that soft bigotry of low expectations. So you and your soft bigotry and your low expectations, we never asked for your fucking help. Third, if you were helping black people all of your fucking life, you've been doing.
Can we pause real quick?
Yeah.
What minute mark are we on right now?
2:05.
2 minutes and 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Can we go to about 30 seconds in? Because nobody asked for any help. I just want to be. Nobody's asking for anything.
Nobody's asking for anything.
Videos brought to you by BlackGunsMatterShop.com. Get all of your pro-liberty, pro-gun, pro-freedom solutionary gear at BlackGunsMatterShop.com.
In this rant, evaluating life, you've been doing a horrible fucking job. We're helping black people all of your fucking life. You've been doing a horrible fucking job.
Why?
Like you somehow have been helping all of the blacks. But family values are down, policies and things of that nature that side of the aisle kind of like pushes. We don't need your help, okay? What's particularly...
Wait, if family values are down and all of those things are down... hold on.
Why hasn't Scott Adams fixed black families?
Wait a minute. So he's saying that we don't need your help. And if you have been helping us your whole life, you've been doing a horrible job because we need mad help. What have you been doing this whole time?
What a weird. Who did Malcolm X call out for this? When did it? Listen, the cartoonist for Dilbert won't fix the black family. Right. He just won't. Why won't the cartoonist of Dilbert? Why hasn't he solved these problems in the black community?
The widest cartoon to watch on TV, by the way. The widest. If you sit down and watch it, it's like the widest thing you can watch on TV.
Is it really? Is Dilbert?
Yeah. I used to watch it. I used to read the comic strips, and then I used to watch it.
Oh my gosh, man. I can't. This guy, he just said in the same sentence, we don't need your help, and we do need your help. So you haven't been helping, but if you have been helping, you've been doing a terrible job. All in 2 sentences. That's genius. That's pretty high level
troubling
thinking.
About this is in this conversation that he had with Hotep Jesus, it's going every other way. It's having now the conversation's going about
so now you gotta pull up the Hotep
reparations
Jesus.
and this. Reparations is not Scott Adams's lane. He's not. If you want to learn about reparations and how it goes and how it should go, maybe you should consult the experts. There's a great book, From Here to Equality. Maybe folks should check it out. This conversation as if he's an authority on anything other than drawing cartoons. Because right now, he's the darling of the...
I thought he was a buck-breaking video up. Oh, was expecting that.
This guy, he's a wow. He's fancy. He's special, bro. So I don't know how much of this we're gonna make it through, but I'm just trying to find a couple good pieces where he's explaining himself.
But before we get into that, I want to ask you something. This is my own personal question. A lot of the other questions are from reading the room, seeing what people are saying. But what I want to know is the identifying as black. When did that come about? Because that took me off.
Yeah, this I thought this was interesting.
When did that happen? How did that come about? Why'd you make that decision?
So I'm trying to remember when it was, but several years ago, I said I'm going to identify as black. Now, part of the reason was that I could. It was just an option, right? So I thought, well, that sounds good. But then I thought I could get the best of both worlds. If there's anything ever that's like, rationed by race, I can say, well, I identify as black. And if people wanted to treat me as white because they like that, they'd look at me and say, well, I think he looks white. So I thought I could get the best of both worlds, sort of a mix. But the less funny answer is that I was spending tons of time working on things that were directly for the benefit of the black community. So a lot of the things I was advocating for. So, for example, a lot of people don't know that I'm left wing.
And this is also him self-identifying as left wing, which is Maj Toure is trying to lump him in with the right side because it just makes for a better narrative. I mean, I agree that this whole thing, this is a really goofy conversation.
You want to know why this is goofy? I just see like a white man who tried blackface, didn't like what was going on, and was like, "I'm good, y'all can have this." And it was like, I don't want to solve your problems. I don't want to help you guys. I just want to move away.
Which to me, I don't even think he really tried blackface. I think it was like,
but I'm just saying,
satirical fucking.
Yeah.
I just don't see how him saying, "Okay, I've been trying to help black people, and all they do is call me a racist. So I'm gonna stop trying to help black people." And
go home.
And I'm gonna go home, and I'm gonna tell all other white people, don't be around black people who don't like you because you're white. That's pretty much what he said. And people really took some type of major issue with it. A lot of places dropped his comic. Of course, I mean, it's been going on for 30 years. I don't know how relevant Dilbert still is right now, how much money he was making.
I'm surprised they're still printing newspapers, to be honest with you.
Look, since Maj Toure is clearly shameless, he'll just say anything to tap into whatever outrage he can to sell self-defense classes.
Yeah, shameless.
But just as an experiment, say that you got a poll from Reuters and say, look at this. 70% of white people said they just want to get the hell away from black people. Can you believe that? A Reuters poll says white people just want to get the hell away from black people. I don't know about you, but that comes across to me as a bit racist. So I feel like this. If 70% of white people want nothing to do with black people, I think it's safe to say that they're systematically racist. They suffer from white fragility, and their white privilege forces them to be systematically racist. 70%, they feel that way. You know what? Let's have nothing to do with them. Don't be friends with them on Twitter anymore. You know what? I know you guys were stopping calling people snow roaches. Go ahead. Go have at it. Get back to calling them snow roaches because look, 70% hate us. If Maj Toure did that, there would be no problems. They'd be like, oh, of course white people are racist. Fuck them. Absolutely. We don't want anything to do with them.
Right.
And that decision to want nothing to do with white people, it would be completely respected. Nobody would complain about it. Like, all you have to do is turn it on its head just to show how absurd and ridiculous it is.
It doesn't make any sense. I didn't hear, like, I was listening for when he said, just get the fuck away. When he said it like that, I was like, well, yeah, I kind of get it. All you have to do is scroll through Twitter anytime, whenever you want. Just scroll through Twitter. There's a couple sites you can probably follow if you really want to get down to it. But it won't take long. I mean, we've been laughing about this shit, scrutinizing it for the past couple shows. There's always some black aggression popping off on some unsuspecting white person on Twitter. I don't know what it is, where they're getting these videos from. I don't know, maybe it's like some kind of AI bot propaganda. I remember that was a thing, so maybe it's all deep fakes. Maybe it's a bunch of deep fakes. Maybe a freaking little black kid in school didn't just fucking tackle his teacher and punch her 47 times while she was laying on the ground because she took his Nintendo Switch. Maybe that, I don't know. Maybe that's not a thing. Maybe
It's not. It's not a thing. And the reason I know it's not a thing is because you can't go online and find any black people supporting notions like leave black people alone, or find out, or just saying, no uncertain terms, there's a good reason to be violent, and I promise you, if you give me the reason to be violent, I will do it. There's none of that energy on Twitter. Nobody, if you go in the comments and you read what people are saying, nobody is making shit like that trend and expressing that opinion. I wish a Karen would. Nobody thinks that. Nobody wants to provoke somebody. Nobody's going up to elderly gentlemen enjoying a martini outside at a fancy restaurant and begging them to call them a Rogan in order to be justified in exerting violence.
right, trying to trick you.
happening.
They're trying to trick you into saying Shazam so they can beat you with unholy European cave violence. But to see a pattern, and to use Devon's words, to see a pattern is to be racist. If you look at all of this data that's happening on Twitter, I promise you I could scroll through Twitter. I found a page today called Unbiased Crime Report. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I know where this is going. It's just, no, we're just unbiasedly reporting the crimes. That's all. It's like, yep, I know what's going to be on this page. There's a lot. There's a lot going on when it just comes to just random. I think just random interpersonal violence is at an all-time high right now anyway. Because
People are horrible.
People are horrible. People are extremely upset. They're fucking high strung. People are stressing. So there's a lot of extra aggression. You think about, the whole finance shit with money and the economy, and, some people stress about the fucking climate change, or still stressed about COVID. Who knows what it is, but there's a lot of reasons that a lot of people are uptight right now. So that definitely makes more violence. It makes people be more ready to commit acts of violence over nothing, because I personally think it's because they lack human connection and shit like that. But a lot of this shit does just kind of look like, somebody could say, you wouldn't be wrong if you just said the flat statement, there's a lot of black people beating the shit out of a lot of white people on the internet. You wouldn't be wrong, is all I'm saying. I'm not, and I'm not inferring any other data from that. I don't know, what is the solution to that. What do you do? People like, we listen to amazing, not amazing, atheism is unstoppable. We listen to a few people who talk about these topics, but then they say something needs to be done. What's gonna what is the solution other than people saying, yo, get the fuck away from black people who don't like you, and also get the fuck away from white people who are racist, or whatever you want to call it. If they don't like you because you're black, get away from them. I think that's good advice, personally.
I just think people are just done with the contradictions. There's no way to make sense of any of this. Gentrification is bad. Don't come live with us. You'll fuck up the community. You'll bring your Karen whiteness here. Don't live here. That's gentrification. That's bad. Well, we're leaving. That's white flight. Don't you go anywhere.
Yeah.
You live right next to me, but I don't want you here because you're gentrifying the neighborhood. If you leave, it's white flight. And then once you do that and you leave, I don't want you over here. If you come back, it's gentrification. But now I want to live where you flew to. You flew away, and I want to nest with you. Redlining. You're keeping me away from you. Why are you keeping me away from you? Well, what's the difference between redlining and gentrification? It's a group of people that wants nothing to do with another group of people live with them. They say, look, if you live here, you'll fuck it up. If you come here, there'll be crime and people won't take care of their house. Well, if you come here, bitches will be able to jog and feel safe. Children won't be murdered in strollers. How dare you come here and raise the property value?
I don't like it.
You piece of shit.
I don't like it. A white woman was jogging. She felt safe. She wasn't worried about being hurt or assaulted, and it just pissed me off in the depths of my soul. Just made me angry. That's
how
how I
the
knew.
neighborhood's supposed to be.
That's how I knew my neighborhood was gone. When I saw that white woman comfortably jogging after dark, that's how I knew the place that I called home my whole childhood was gone. You know
Been ruined.
It's
you
ruined.
know what? Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's sell the brownstone for $8.5 million.
Right.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Oppression.
Look, even the angle that Mash Teray took is just pandering along lines of race. I caught a racist white man saying some racist shit. I'm already getting shit from black people saying I'm not really black because I line up with right-wing politics. But what can I do to enshrine my blackness so that no one can call me out and take it away from me, and I can still get this money by ensuring crime happens, and I'm teaching people how to protect themselves from it? Like, he took that lane of well, it's race, and well, there's no way to solve that. We've literally come to a point that there is no solutions. I just want to make sure people can be triggered. No, nobody wants any solutions.
Right.
There's a lot of money in shit is fucked up. We got to save black people because shit has been fucked up. What are we going to do to save black people? The same shit we do every couple of years. Raise a bunch of money and not do a fucking thing. A lot of people are going to get rich, but not you. Shit is never going to get fixed. And there's a whole lot of money to make from that. So there's a great deal of interest in just making sure black people collectively are so triggered by race that it disarms all of their critical thinking. No matter what the issue is, you can get black people in America, by and large, of course not all, but by and large, you can disarm all of the other critical thinking. No one will examine anything. The moment you can pitch something as racist, oh, well, we should be offended by this, no matter how trivial it is. Well, he pointed out to us that we don't like him. Fuck him, I don't like him, but I don't like him pointing out that I don't like him. Like, if you're you're so easy to manipulate. You're so easy to predict how you're going to vote, what you're going to buy, what would push you over the edge. Like, you're putting it all out on Front Street. There doesn't need to be a J. Edgar Hoover. There doesn't need to be a CIA dossier on you. Like, there's already a mass communication spell placed on the populace at large, which tells people that we're being hunted. It's just as racist as it's ever been. And what do we need to do to solve it? Donate somebody money who's never going to fix it. And you literally have decades of video footage with the same conversation. Decades of history books written about all the organizations that came and went, collected money, and nothing ever changed. Nothing. And so we're being forced to have a conversation about solving problems in the context where making solutions makes the people poor who are dictating the conversation. There's never going to be allowed to be a solution that's cultivated in that context. Absolutely not. It would fuck up too much money.
Right.
So we're destined just to be outraged all day by predictable shit so that we'll make sure we uphold the identity that blackness belongs to the Democratic Party. So we'll say, oh, you're not really black. You're not really black because look at how you think. Well, what they're really saying is, bitch, you believe in vibrational tribalism too. You're just nefarious in that you use race to disarm people's critical thinking so that they go along with the ideology, but under the guise that, oh, this is just being authentically black. This is just being, of course Barack Obama was great. Of course he was.
Right.
He was.
Right.
Of course he was. Well, what changed? Wasn't that the solution in 2008? Shit's been fucked up for a long time, guys. We know Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton are full of shit. They're just collecting money, but they're not fixing shit. Now we actually got not a huckster, not a race baiter, not a grifter, not a preacher, even though he sound a little preachy. I don't know how they talk like that in Hawaii, but he sound a little preachy when he talks. But look, now we got a dude that's one of us with power. He's the fucking president. Shit's definitely going to get good now. He's not just going to make himself rich and not solve anything. Soon as 2016 was over, this motherfucker called Chase Bank. Look, I'll give you a speech for $500,000. Sounds great. Talk for an hour, we'll give you $500,000. Now this motherfucker runs Netflix, and he's a multi-millionaire. Well, he wasn't worth multi-millions when he became the president, but he left the presidency making millions, and now we're saying it's more racist than ever. How the fuck can it be more racist than ever when there was a black president who was going to fix everything? How is it more racist than ever now? How is it not fixed? We gave Black Lives Matter millions of dollars. How is it not fixed now? Now the problem is we're not keeping people in prison who are supposed to be in prison, so murders are super up. Murders are on super sane levels. Okay, so there's less black people in the privatized prison system. Is it better? So
less black people have gone to jail, and the murders are up? So there's
what you're telling me is the demasculation of the black man isn't working. That's what you're telling me. It's not working at all.
What I'm saying is, what the fuck are we even talking about at this point? What the fuck is the productive there is no productive conversation about race. If you can get on Twitter all day and complain about Mayo monkeys, fucking moon crickets and chalk demons or whatever all the words are.
We got the list.
It's a Google Doc with like fucking 200 plus names. If you can get on and scream that shit unfettered, unchecked, you don't get in no trouble. You get to mainstream derogatory racial language. Yo, you're a bitch. You're the bitch in the relationship. You can say all this wild shit in public and splash a drink in my face and slap me, and I can't touch you. I can't touch you. You're the bitch in this relationship.
Yeah.
The black identity and black consciousness is being paraded around as the
bitch.
It's a battered girlfriend. So
it's the black battered girlfriend.
Black people in America are Tina Turner, and the cis white male is Ike Turner.
Ike Turner's masculinity, and look, Ike Turner look cool, even with that bob haircut. He had it looked like a haircut that chicks get, but he made it look. No. It looked right.
You know what? I think it's only fair that because see, black people have gotten a bad rap sometimes, and I know they don't always get to speak for themselves, and I think black people have a deeper sensibility about race and race relations than white people do. White people never really had to worry about it. They just kind of, high step around. What's the word?
Yeah, they ignored it. They didn't have to worry about it. There was no focus. He's like, I get to go to work.
Yeah, they just promenade through the streets. If a white man gets turned down for a job or a bank loan, he's like, you know what? I need to work a little harder, get my numbers back up, and then maybe I'll get that loan. He doesn't even have to accept the stress and anxiety of, did they deny me because I'm a Negro? It doesn't exist in his mind. He's like, fuck, I'll just try another bank. He doesn't think it's hopeless because he's black. So I think black people might have a better sensibility when it comes to race relations. But Cut has a video right here talking to black people about race relations. So I'm sure that it's way more progressive, way more compassionate, because that's, black folks' superpower is compassion, and white folks' superpower is their lack of compassion. But I just want to see what black people have to say about it on this particular subject.
What are white people superior at?
What exactly are white people superior at?
They're real good at violence.
Violence.
Genocide. It's like stealing people's lives just because they feel like it.
If you are white and you know this is happening and you say nothing, then you're a killer too.
What exactly are white people superior at?
Insecurity, pretending,
fear,
being fearful of nothing,
being ignorant,
blame,
letting their egos control their every move.
Well, it's a little bit different than I thought it might be, but I'm just saying.
I heard a lot of solutions in there, though. No, and also too is I love the nuance because the question was about generalities, right?
What are white people good at?
Right. So I mean, immediately we're thrust into the context that we're supposed to never ever engage a conversation in that we're identifying a group and ascribing qualities to a group identity.
Right.
Could we parade around? Look, we paraded around whiteness. We paraded around and said all it's ever done is stolen and murdered shit, and claimed that it made shit up on its own. It just stole and murdered. It fucked, raped, murdered, shot, stole its way to the top. It was the most vicious culture under the sun, and it's unduplicatable. No one else, there's none of these behaviors that you'll ever see transcend beyond the boundaries of whiteness. It lives exclusively here in whiteness, and it's so exclusive here that we could just say white people. What makes white people superior was the question, and we were automatically allowed to speak directly to that racial identity in an unfavorable light, and nobody's in trouble. Nobody's canceled. Again, the bitch in the relationship. I want you to fight me with your hands tied behind my back. I can call you shit all day, but you can't say shit about me. I can point shit out to you all day, but you can't undercut my argument with fucking facts. Matter of fact, I can put out an argument and make a proclamation or a declaration on behalf of all of blackness. And if you hold a mirror up to my face, like Malcolm X said he did to white society, and you reflect back to me the same shit I said, look, you can't do that either. How the fuck is this a fair fight? What is the point of even engaging in conversation? White people have been given no other option at this point other than just say, fuck it, I want nothing to do with you. You clearly don't want anything to do with me. Why are we partnering in any degree?
No, that's
Why am I
punk
spending
shit.
money here? Why am I donating to this here?
No,
Why?
that's punk
For
shit.
what?
You can't leave. You can't leave. You got to stay here and take the abuse.
I gotta stay and be a real man. I gotta stay here and be a real man and let you throw a drink in my face and still pay all the bills because you don't know how to take care of yourself.
You brought us
here. Right. Me. You personally brought me.
You know what?
Here.
Okay. Yep. Listen. I brought you here, and not only that, I gave you an escape route out. It's called Liberia. I went all this shit you said I did to the Indians. I gave you a path to do it right back. Look. You know more, and it's been happening. The black people that came from America was like, look, y'all aren't ready. Like, we know how to fly airplanes. You guys are fucked. They went in and they colonized Liberia like it wasn't shit. And even to this day, there's fights between people that are indigenous Liberians. They're not like, brother. They're like, you fucking black-ass Wakandan colonizer. Why the fuck are you here? Look, it's some ugly shit, but look, just do
it's
it.
The truth.
Look, you can make peace with them. Or you could do it a little faster and say, bitch, y'all barely know how to fucking fire the gun. I'm bombing you out. You could do the same shit that America did to get their shit, and you could run it however you want. Nobody's out there trying to make that happen. Everybody is here talking about how fucked up white people are and will not make a fucking contingency plan. Everybody in a bad relationship has a contingency plan. Well, if this bitch leave me, I got another bitch that'll definitely, I can move in to have pay rent. Or I can move in with her. Or I don't have a job right now. I know she'll take care of me. Everybody in a bad relationship who's thinking about maybe leaving, if they got a half a brain, has a contingency plan. What is the universal black contingency plan? What is it? It's not reparations to do what?
Reparations. No, just give us some money.
To spend it right back into the same economy
maybe
that oppressed you in the first place?
That's
maybe.
Right.
But listen, checks and balances.
So go spend it where?
No, checks and balances, financial, ideology. That's white supremacy. All of it. All of that shit is white enough, patriarchy. So you just got to let them be frivolous. Let them. Just give them the money, and whatever they do with it is up to them. That's how, you can't put a bridle on trauma. You can't put a saddle on trauma. You can't try to break it. It's a wild horse. You just got to let it run free. Let it go buy Jordans. Let it go get gold teeth.
Y'all trying to give it
do
crap,
it, bro.
Didn't work out too well.
This is indefensible. This is the most destructive thing. If there is a such thing as black culture, defending this and nurturing weakness and unaccountability is the greatest poison you could inject into destroying black culture.
This is a huge part of black culture, right? This shit is, maybe it's me. Maybe it's the, I got a lot of coon energy cycling around me in these days. But this looks like a Mad TV skit to me. It almost doesn't look real, but I know it's real. It's unbelievable.
It's definitely a
superior
mad
at
TV
being
skit because everybody's dressed
What
up.
exactly are white people superior at?
oppression, gaslighting,
Lack of empathy.
intellectualizing oppression. Did I say oppression?
She looks like a
What
white
exactly are white people superior
The
at?
three of them look like white girls.
Taking shit.
Taking our ideas.
Copycat.
Oh, here we go.
Taking our
What
ideas.
exactly are white people
What
superior
ideas?
at?
Taking shit.
Taking what's not there. Taking shit.
Yeah,
Taking
like
our
bikes.
ideas.
We take a lot of bikes.
Gentrification.
Appropriating things that do not belong to them.
Taking over other people's cultures and making you believe that they invented it.
Maybe they're thinking of it as repurposing. It's like recycle and repurpose.
As my grandma would say, them white folk, they'll take it if you don't copyright it.
They are very good
And making sure you have a stock fridge.
Right.
people, destruction of humanness.
Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're conservative, like white people are really good at upholding white supremacy.
How about claiming that, you know, they are actually a whole separate race, when actually white DNA comes from the black female?
So what exactly are white people?
Honey, lie.
She's like me. I get this me.
Right. She had to twist the dagger just a little bit more in her favor, like not just black, the black woman. My pussy did all this. It's magic.
All of you came from me.
And stealing and cheating, manipulation,
withholding information,
lying, telling lies.
All this is white people? This is all white people? Like,
Yeah.
This is all white people?
Look,
So
black
we were
people
kings and queens? We didn't
telling
do
no
nothing?
lies, nothing.
No lies.
They went,
No.
the Ashanti Empire was like, look, we're going to have a little scrimmage. If you don't win, we're definitely selling you to slave traders.
Yeah.
We're definitely doing that.
White people invented lying. The black people
No
never had a
lies,
reason
no
to lie to
oppression.
each other. They never had a reason to lie to each other. They never had a
There was
reason.
no, you never find a Hammurabi's law because there was no stealing. There
Right.
was no stealing. Stealing, they couldn't even fathom the concept of thievery. It just didn't make sense.
It was all kings and queens.
Yeah, the negative confessions are for white people. Like, I have not done all these bad things because nobody was actually doing them. None of that stuff existed before white people crawled out of the caves with their rape and their pillaging and their colonization, just dunking all over the planet while everybody else is doing, layup practice.
Can you imagine what that boot camp looks like? Can you imagine the ordeal that got us here? Like, look, I know you've never seen violence or stealing before, or don't even understand what a lie is. I'm gonna put you on. How do you even begin opening up that training? Like, I'm gonna make you into a finely tuned machine. I'm gonna get you this information. I came out of this. I was just gonna continue to beat my Neanderthal wife and fuck my dog in this cave. I was gonna do that until the end of the time. But something swelled up in me. I said, you know what? I got to teach Africa to murder, lie, and steal shit.
Yeah, they wasting a lot of time over there just eating mangoes and screwing. We got to start teaching these people how to hit each other in the head with fucking sticks. It's a lot they don't know over there. And look where hitting each other in the head with sticks got you. Starbucks. Walmart. Y'all just over there laying around eating fresh fruit. Your woman's topless and shit. Y'all ain't doing nothing. You just chilling. The white man was like, you know what? We need skyscrapers and city buses. So we gotta start the rape. Y'all ain't doing nothing over here, bro. We need to dunk immediately. No, it's just bad. It's just bad because we know the type of shit you can talk about, the type of shit that's available for you to say. Matter of fact, let me just pull it right up. I think we got a guest that's going to shoot up on and link with us here in a couple minutes. I do want to get into this list, though, real quick. So I happen to come across this list. It's a student from Auburn University. Black Student Union produces list of racial slurs for white people discovered on a group text chat allegedly associated with the organization. So it's probably nothing too surprising. A bunch of kids, young people had a list of racial slurs.
Barbies. I like that one.
But this is a list that was circulating in Black Student Union. These are the kids.
What's a yeast yeti?
A yeast. That's a white person. Clearly.
Are these bad words for white people?
Yeah.
Exclusively.
Exclusively
There's
for white
an
people.
entire list.
And strangely enough, this is what makes it less racist.
Snow bunny to me.
This is what makes it less racist. Is it's a group of racial slurs for only white people, so that makes it less racist. But yeah, plantation Barbies, vanilla vultures, rice rascals. That's not bad. Milk cricket, cheese skins, flour monster, discharge doggy, saltine cracker, Cave Dweller, that's an old school one from back in the day.
Yeah.
Crackers,
We still
pretty
use that
basic.
to this day.
Yeast maggots, snow pigs, yeast yeti, as Doobie pointed out, chalk child, sour milk, snow possum, palm colored ones, sour
Child
milk.
of the Chalk sounds better.
Yeah,
Just-
Child of the
I
Chalk.
want to
yeah.
kind of help.
Christopher Columbus stands, Oreo filling, chalk dust, unedited Google document. That's special. Unseasoned chicken.
Out of my entire life, I probably heard like 3 of these.
Nah, these are just I don't know who's. This is a lot of words, bro.
I want to say my top 5 is cracker, wet dog. I just seen one.
Mayo Sapiens and Dandruff
I've never heard
Dalmatians.
that one in my life.
Powder Patch Kids. That's good. I like it.
Mayo
Styrofoam.
Sapiens is good too.
Yeah, Mayo
Cocaine
Sapiens.
chameleons.
Cocaine
That sounds like a
chameleons.
That
I
sounds
like
like a
that.
good soccer team. Yeah.
I like that. That gives that. Yeah, that makes me feel like these are white guys in Miami for business.
Cocaine.
Yeah, cocaine chameleon. Because Monday morning they're gonna be right back in the boardroom looking like nothing ever happened, bro.
Exactly.
We still got some coke residue
like
in his
that
nose. Yeah, cocaine chameleons. Those are high functioning white drug addicts. That's what we call those. Soggy toilet paper sheets, dandruff Dalmatians. I said that one. The cold ones. That's pretty. That's vague, bleak, but I like it. Sour cream citizens. Ku Klux Karen. Yeah.
Demons.
Bleach demons. I like that. Walking corpse, mayo packets, yeast infection. Pretty. That's straight to the point. Sugar sardines. Wow. Some of these are pretty bad. Marshmallow minions. That's a good one.
Lacking melanin. Yeah, that's a new one.
Non-pigmented, pigment losing creatures.
What was the one? Melanemia, like you suffer from anemia with
Yeah,
no melanin. Melanemia.
Yeah, dude. Wispy clouds. Mistakes. Mutated being mistakes. Mutated being lice crawlers.
It runs the gambit of like super like trying to be hurtful, like just hatred, to just good natured. These two words sound good together. I don't know why, but you found some magic. Like these two words together just create the imagery, and it rolls off the tongue in such a way that it's worthy of being coined a neo-racial slur. Like, and just think about the energy and creativity that was invested into doing this instead of making a Tyler Perry film watchable, right? There's so much more energy that could be done to improve things. Like, why doesn't Liberia have its own space program by this point? Why isn't it just on track and just doing the illest shit? Because there's obviously mental energy available. It committed itself to this compiling, and the irony of it too is it's all projection.
Right.
White people are racist. Fuck, I know you just think Rogan this, Rogan that. It's all you think in your head. It's like, no, that's really, you're telling on yourself. Nobody else is looking at it that way. You're seeing it like that. You're sizing it up. You're calling the whole world racist, and then you're having little secret student union meetings to be like, yo, how could we just do the most racist shit ever? Just rhetorically. We're not changing any laws or beating the shit at anybody. We'll save that for other filmmakers. We're just strictly about the clever verbiage, and that energy gets invested, and then we go out in the world and say, all you white motherfuckers are super duper racist and you hate us. So look, the Scott Adams shit, the truth is white people in general, by and large, love black people way more than black people like white people. Way more. Doobie pointed that out to me one time when we were watching what was it? Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's like, look, you think this is a white show, it's all about white shit. But look, I study white people. I study them. Like, I got it down to a science. He's like, it's intermingled, it's sprinkled in here, but if you pay attention closely, at any chance they get to tell you they love some black shit, they love some black shit. They love it. Yes, they're going to play Biz Marquee. Yes, it's going to happen. Watch. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. And there's a fascination and there's a celebration. Like, Led Zeppelin stole all their shit from black guitarists. Like, yo, that was really dope. That was dope. I'm gonna take that shit. It's dope. I gotta give it to you. But look, we're gonna be able to market it better. It's true. Like, everything they said in that video, You could apply it to some white people, but to make it the black identity, like this is the very thing that you did not want white people to do, that you identified as racist. Look, don't come up with this myth of the coke crazed Negro. Don't you do it. Because look, you're casting an identity on all of blackadom. Don't do it. You can't do it. So any move in the other direction to label some shit, like this was the original sin, like when we got into this PC shit. Like by the PC book, this is the most forbidden shit you could engage in. Like you're actively coming up with racial slurs. Like amazing. This is cancel culture in a nutshell. But it can be on display and nobody will get in trouble. And again, because this is a rhetorical fight in the public square where there's a man and there's a woman and the man has to fight with both his hands behind his back. It's not a good look. It's a weak win, dude. It's a weak win. You're getting people fired. You're getting to say ridiculous shit that no one can defend or make sense of when anybody calls you out just a little bit. You got to block people and you got to avoid confrontation because you can't defend this shit. Intellectually, it can't be done, so you craft an echo chamber just to insulate this shit. And look, people are noticing. People are noticing, and that Scott Adams shit is just, I feel like that's just a crack in the dam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, they're mainstreaming the idea of just separation. Like, that's where we're going.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been talking, we know a lot of people have been talking like that from the other side too. So if it's fair for you, if it's fair for people like Umar to say, I want a school for only black children, away from the influence of white kids and white teachers and all of that, then why wouldn't somebody like Scotty Too Hottie over here why wouldn't Mayo Sapien be like, you know what, I don't want my daughter to get punched in the head 46 times on the school bus, so I just want only white kids. But somehow that's a thing we should all rally against and cancel them for. But when Umar says basically the same thing, we high five him and send him fucking Red Lobster gift certificates.
Or every black leader that has to say the same thing. Because the moment you're like, listen, let's not have this degree of exclusivity, because it just perpetuates the othering of another group.
Right.
And then we'll become just like these monsters, these chalk demons that we hate. Like, if you already in the realm of coon talk. Like, right. Every black leader that's considered authentically black by this ideology, out of the gate, you have to have some degree of separatism. It has to happen. If you saying some shit where there's actually unity, it's already coon talk. If you're saying, look, these white people have a point about this linear thinking and the scientific method and being on time, I think this would work really well for us and take us to new heights. Coon shit. That's coon talk, white supremacy. You're not really black. You can't be in our team. And we get to decide who's really black or not. Oh, what it's based on that? What is that based on? It's basically based upon the Democratic platform. That's all it's based on.
And how are we organizing? How are we organizing blackness though on this side? So if we're giving them all of the scientific experiments, if we're giving that to them, what do we get to organize our tenets about our identity and our experience?
Oh, we get to say Rogan and nobody else can say it.
And hot sauce. And we season our
Hillary
food.
Clinton can have hot sauce.
She gets the hot sauce. We season our food. We dress better. We dance better. Huge pipes. All that. We'll keep all that stuff, and everything else, white folks can have it. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense. That sounds like a good plan for nation building, right? We don't need no damn white science. All we need is Negro rhythm and blues.
Back to kings and queens.
Problems will just solve themselves.
Yeah.
It's like you're keeping tools. Or if you say you care about the problem, for the sake of serving this retarded ideology, you're keeping tools that work out of the hands of people that you say need them the most. You couldn't be more counterproductive. You're mass terrain. You're pointing out that there's a problem that you're spending all of your energy to ensure never goes away. That's all we're doing when we have these conversations. You're getting some money by white knighting black people while actually putting forth nothing that would solve their problems. By actually calling it racist anytime you try to get to the point where people are just online saying, white dudes don't have fathers too. There's white dudes that don't have dads. What is that point proving?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, well we don't want to address the no dad thing in certain parts. We just don't want to address it. Well, is it a real thing? Are the statistics wrong? Like, is it having an effect? Well, whether it's having an effect or not, we don't like the fact that white people are pointing it out to us, so we're just not going to deal with it. Oh yeah, a white person pointed out, hey, you have diabetes. If you don't get insulin, you'll die. Don't fat shame me, cracker. Don't you do it. Don't you do it, Sharp Demon. No, I'm trying to save your life. This insulin will save your life. Fuck you, Mayor Sapien. I don't need that. I don't need your white Yakubari science magic.
Things that you did to us back in the day.
Go fuck yourself.
I ain't forget Tuskegee.
I ain't forget about slavery. I don't trust you. All right.
AIDS. You gave it.
This would really be helpful.
I'm gonna bring the bro in. I'm gonna bring the Bo Surreal in. So Legit's gonna come join us for a minute. I think he's listening, so I'm gonna tap him in. But while we tapping him in, I'm gonna go ahead and let this guy say. I finally found a little clip of him speaking directly for himself. So.
Oh, I thought you were gonna plug some merchandise. I was gonna clap.
Yeah, I should.
There you go.
I don't plug merchandise nearly enough, dude.
Listen, learn from Madge.
Well, blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll. Not according to me.
Not me.
According to this poll. That's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the fuck away.
It sounds kind of hard.
Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this.
That's why Elon's trying to get to Mars.
Right, this can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood.
We're right to nihilism. It can't be fixed. It's done. Just give up hope.
I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that
he's the ambassador
when he lived in a.
That's true. He was before you owned blackness. Don Lemon was the go-to guy.
Mostly black neighborhood. There were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference.
So in this, what he's quoting Don Lemon on right here, I went and looked at the video. Don Lemon is saying that he was saying that if you want to improve your living conditions, you should start small. And he said now that he lives in mostly white neighborhoods, he noticed how clean they are, and he doesn't ever see anybody litter. And he said, "No, I live in Harlem. It's a historically black community, and people litter all day, every day. Adults and children, they throw shit on the ground, even if it's a garbage can 5 feet away." And when he said that, there's no part of me that can deny the truth of that, the possibility of that experience. Now, I don't know if I've lived in a place where I could say, I've never lived in a place where I could say nobody ever littered. It's just so clean here, nobody litters. I think the places I've lived, humans have always littered. That's just what it is. But living in mostly black neighborhoods, being downtown and like all those kind of, I've seen it with my own eyes for sure. People would just throw shit on the ground. And it's not just the littering. It's just this idea of not giving a fuck about your surroundings that comes with living around poor people.
I've seen this kid throw trash in the back of my patio for a whole entire week. And I'm looking up on top of the trees and I'm seeing toilet paper tissues. So it's like dirty people are gonna do dirty shit.
Right.
And you need to move away from those
people. Get the fuck away from me.
Get the fuck away from
I don't give a shit what color they are, bro.
Like if they exactly, because that's not a neighborhood you need to be involved in at all. No. Like get the fuck out of there. No. Get out.
Based on where you live and who's there. So I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense.
Jesus.
It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm gonna back off from being helpful to black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off.
I don't see anything wrong with
doing it all my life.
He used to help all black people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's tired of it.
He used to help all black people.
He's put in the work. He's put in the time.
He's tired.
He went to the trenches.
He's the atlas of black struggle. He just has it all on his shoulders. He's carrying it all by his lonesome. He did it.
And listen to what he says right here. Like, I feel his pain.
And have been
The only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome.
He said, I've been helping black people all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That sounds valid to me. Knowing how this conversation goes, knowing the amount of top tier Steven Seagal judo that takes place when you're talking to black folks about race, he's definitely been judo flipped before. It's the reductio ad coonum. You can never do enough. He could be like, yeah, I just came from a fucking soup kitchen where I fed a bunch of black homeless people. Well, they wouldn't have been homeless if it wasn't for your forefathers. Like, you can't, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing
he only, to be fair, he only wanted to be there to be a white savior.
Right,
he's really just trying to assuage his guilt.
Exactly, which makes you even more racist. So it's like, I could totally see where somebody a person in that position who has been trying to help people gonna call you racist a lot. We spoke about this recently. We just had a video called "Don't Help the Poor," like that, just that flat out, don't help the poor, because the people that you're trying to help are not in the proper capacity to not only receive it and make the most of it, but a lot of times they're gonna attack you while you're trying to help them. They're gonna talk shit to you. They're gonna make you feel threatened, and if you're not cut out for that, then the work that you're doing is too small. There needs to be more space between you and the people that you're trying to help. So I wouldn't suggest taking a bunch of sandwiches and going to Skid Row in Los Angeles and trying to feed the homeless people. Some people do it, but if you're worried about some shit, I would say don't go there. I say make more money, get richer, and if you really want to help, create some structural systems that might help these people. Create a way for them, like a chowder chute. That'd be a lot safer. Create some type of place where they can get mental health screenings or some type of help in that direction. You may not be the person who's cut out to just go hand out sandwiches, because you might get punched in the face, you might get spit on, you might get called a cracker or something like that. And if you don't think you can deal with that, just put more distance between yourself and the people that you're trying to help. That's all.
Yeah, but putting money in the institutions aren't going to work either, because once you have an institution in a white supremacist society, those institutions are going to be corrupt. So even if you have an all-black police department with a black police chief and a black mayor, any misbehavior by the black police and the black ran police department, that's still going to somehow come across as white supremacy. So again, the way that the argument is framed or the point is made, it automatically sets the rules that this is unfixable. Go ahead, have your conversation in this context where it's unsafe. So you're telling me you're railing against institutional racism, but even if you run the institutions, they're so marked by racism they still can't be fixed. So then there's,
how does that work?
Right. So what you're saying without saying it is there is no solution but going our separate ways. And you could be mad at this dude for the way that he articulated it. It wasn't maybe tactful. It hits the ears with a certain right? But if we're saying we're having candid, courageous conversations, right? We're supposed to be talking honestly about race. What he's saying after the ridiculous shit that people have had to agree to in the last 6 or 7 years, there's no such thing as a Y chromosome. Everybody is racist except me. Like all of the wild shit that is like, yo, in order for you not to be a racist, you got to agree to all of this shit. Oh, including 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. That's racist math also. Like the wild
I have a question.
Shit. Yeah.
Yakub, how many times, like just curious, have you actually been called a cracker? Do you know how many times that's happened?
I honestly don't think I've ever been. Well, no. There's been a couple.
Once.
Very young.
Right. Once, twice. So the point is this whole conversation is working to a certain people's advantage that's neither black or white or cares about that. Like this whole thing is a divide and conquer thing that black people, quite honestly, are the most wrapped up in right now, that are the easily susceptible to this kind of magic trick. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the waste of energy this ends up being is exactly why it is what it is. This isn't a flaw. This is how this whole thing is designed, right? Is to keep us, got a list of white slurs and white people. By the way, that video, if you notice, you guys said, what are white people good at? That's not what the woman asked. You have to pay attention to the neurolinguistics. She said, "What are white people superior at?"
Oh yeah, she seeded
That's
that.
a
She
that's
totally
a
seeded.
that's
yeah.
a manipulation in and of itself, and that's the subtlety of how all this shit works in the media.
To already
Right.
provoke. But that's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
It makes it such a susceptible, predictable thing, which is why it's so irresponsible to so dishonestly have a lot of these conversations and reinforce really bad thinking, right? So because I get what you're saying. It's definitely a trick and it's a waste of energy. Like I said, the way that the table is laid out, the conversation is designed to fail. Like that's by design.
Yes.
It wasn't an accident that we're gonna frame these issues that way. Nah, not at all. But what I'm saying is,
I wasn't disagreeing with you, by the way.
No.
That was an honest question, just to kind of frame, because I've probably been called cracker or honky like a couple of times, and I'm
I still use honky.
Oh man, when I came up rapping, bro, I got booed off the stage for being white, and they were calling me honky. Like I dealt with that a few times.
In a rap concert.
Yeah, I mean because I was the only, back when Yakub and I created black people.
Was it 6 trillion years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Trillion years ago.
Oh shit, I had to. Just thriving in a white man's world, fatherless child out here.
We're just kings and queens, and you just came over.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the problem. Yeah. We learned.
No, the only thing I was trying to convey is that as much as people were triggered by this video, it's the most sincerest way to lay out how the majority of people feel about the current level of discourse are centered around the ideas of race. People are getting the impression that nobody's honestly engaging in this conversation because they want any solutions. It's really just to either virtue signal or to own the left or whatever, get leftist tears, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in an interesting position because I practice African spirituality, like dedicated, like every day, like I'm steeped in it. And it's interesting to be a white person that does that. Like I can't share that with many black people. There's only like the people closest to me are like priestesses and people who have ordained me to do so. But it's interesting because I see a lot of black people touting onks and they don't know, and like I'm not gonna come out and say it, but they legit don't know what they're talking about. Like I'll see people talking about Kemetic stuff where I'm like, that isn't at all how that, like in the literature, like in the actual tradition of that actually works. So I get to sit back and be like, damn, like how do I even exist in this world? Like I was literally watching some interviews with Kweli, who I love and also think is like gets way ahead of himself in his Twitter, and he's kind of the proponent. Like he upholds a lot of this ping pong match. He enjoys the shit out of it. You can tell that he really likes playing this game. So I've been having these mock conversations with him and shit when I'm praying, because I'm like, what would I say to a person like that? And there's nothing you can say, because the even though I'm saying black man is God, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, yeah, the gods I pray to in their anthropomorphized state are African, are black. I agree with you, but then I know that perception of me would still be that I'm appropriating, even though I am substrating myself as a servant to these deities. I still know I would be seen as wildly appropriating. You know what I'm saying? So, but this Dilbert guy, you have to admit, wasn't the most. He didn't have bars on this, really. Like he didn't say it in a way.
You know what?
There was a better way to say it.
He didn't have a lot of style, but he had a lot of substance.
He had bars, yeah, but there's a way to say it. Yeah.
He
you know what I'm
definitely
saying?
had
Exactly.
some hard
Style,
bars, bro.
Style. Yeah.
He didn't
style,
fluff it up
sure.
a lot. You could tell he didn't overthink it, which is probably, I think, a better thing. That he didn't try to nice it up and give it all the trimmings and shit. He just said what was on his mind, and even with that unseasoned version that he handed out, it was still sound logic. It doesn't have a lot of flaws in what he was actually saying.
I agree.
You talk about
I agree.
Now, if you want to judge the emotion that it could give out, if we want to put ourselves in the shoes of people who haven't done the work to be able to see these things as objective realities, they're just going to get the emotional knee jerk reaction of, oh, he's a racist. Like, if we want to feel bad for them and how they're gonna feel, even though how they're gonna feel is wrong, then yeah, I understand. Like, oh, that's the optics, it's gonna suck. People ain't gonna get what you're saying. But in the bottom line reality of it, he didn't say anything wrong. He did not say anything wrong.
I agree.
You got to go back.
I was laughing. I was laughing just at how abrupt what he was saying.
It sounds that way, but I think it's
funny,
because
dude.
He said, "Just
funny.
Get the fuck away."
And plus, somebody that looks like that, you don't expect them to articulate it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
he does look racist.
This is
Everybody look
It looks like the
racist.
guy in the NBA.
I mean, white.
Who's the ambassador or whatever.
Oh, Stern or no, Adam Silver. Yeah.
Look, dude, we know that this is all bullshit. One of my favorite quotes is, "We all come from the same bag of shit." It's if you're enlightened about this shit, you already know. Like, look, I'm a soul, and I'm basically navigating a fucking meat puppet. It's a meat suit. And every meat suit that you have is grounded in some meat 3D dimensional realities.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
If you're lactose intolerant, if you're tall, if you're short. But these are all ingredients in the same bag of shit. And I think if you're an enlightened person, you just see it for what it is. Like, yeah, we're all the same shit in terms of being human beings worthy of love, respect. We have a soul or whatnot. But we're all navigating different meat suits. Some of us are more susceptible to fucking becoming alcoholics. Some of us are more susceptible to. Yeah,
that's true.
It's a trauma. It's the trauma economy, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's, if we look at how we've made money for the most part all over our culture, it's all based on triggering trauma to get a response, a less than response. You need this thing. You're this thing. And so, like, the reclaiming of Black identity is gonna come with some overreaching, out of balance, non-resonating stuff. And that's true of women right now too. Like, that's a whole other conversation. Like, all these spiritual women talking about they want a divine masculine, when masculinity is like the word no. It's leadership, it's discernment. It's like, no, you don't get to run down the street naked showing off your jewels. Like, but they don't want to hear that. But the same with, like, Black people don't want to hear accountability, because we're in the early stages, believe it or not.
But we're
in the early stages of the reclamation.
That's not true. You have to. Were kids. No Black leader seriously even engaged in any conversation where Black people weren't the authors. There was even a resentment of the Emancipation Proclamation. Like, that's you setting us free. That's fucking. So there was a train of thinking when we were kids where Black people absolutely had in their consciousness,
for sure,
that we are empowered.
I agree.
To change things and be masters of our own destiny. Shit, some of Marcus Garvey's speeches from the fucking 30s emphasize that idea. How much more hellish was the context then, right? So I think there's a balance of, we're addressing the reality of just solid facts, and we're also communicating and conveying, like, in the big scheme of things, this is all silly. We're humans. We love you. You're clearly going through something. If I could be of service and help you, I'd like to, but I can't even begin to help you if we can't have a conversation that's rooted in truth. And I think there's a balancing in that. Like, there's a equilibrium there to be brokered that will lead to more productive conversations. Because where we're at now, you remember conversations in this vein that we had in the 90s. It was infinitely more enlightened about this shit, and it was way more marginalized. What's being mainstreamed is just be angry, have no plan to fix shit, and be perpetually at each other's throats and unable to take in information. Like,
well, think about this. Think about by the way, I agree with you. I'm not playing contrarian. I think maybe when I was saying accountability, I didn't get that, like, all the way out. I'm not saying that they're...
Well, I didn't let you. I'm an asshole. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's all good, bro. It's all good. Yakub, you fucking creep. Yeah, you're horrible. But the idea that the lack of accountability now also has to do with the last 30 years, right? So when we were coming up in the 90s with the Poor Righteous Teachers and KRS and X-Clan, this Black identity, it had to be about reclamation, because in modern like mainstream culture, that was the first time black people were truly having that conversation in the public. You know, they'd have to litter it in the 60s. It'd have to be in a soul song that sounded sweet, where the X-Clan and Brand Nubian, they were coming out and being like, boom, planting a flag, right? Well, the past 30 years were decadent. Since the 90s, black culture, black people became superstars. It became about wealth. And it moved, and all love to Hove, to Jay, but like it moved into black entrepreneurship, rubbing elbows with white people and building, which I think is actually more progressive in some ways. But there was a loss of that identity, and it's almost being reclaimed. You don't do it once. You don't remember something once, right? You don't heal once. It goes in cycles. And part of what we're seeing is, as white people or as non-black people trying to offer healing, when you say, hey, I think this would be really good for the community, I actually work in the healing arts study, and a lot of people I try to help, I become their scapegoat as I'm trying to heal them. That's the nature of trauma. And I'm not saying that makes it okay and that we shouldn't hold it accountable, but we also, if we're ascended and we understand it from a higher perspective, there's still a part of this where we have to hold space for that. And Dan, I used to have that analogy. Oh shit, my bad, Yakub. I used to have that analogy with you about, we find out later in life that our sister was raped, but we didn't know why she was acting out, why she was wilding out, why she was doing drugs. We find out 20 years later that this father who treated us really well raped her. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna be mad. We're gonna.
But what we can't do is let the sister run up all the credit cards and let the house fall into disrepair.
I agree.
All right,
agree.
Fucked up, but now you're burning down the house we both live in. This isn't good long term for you or me.
Totally, but I'm not saying that we don't. But you can't. We have to at some point understand what it looks like to actually show up in love, and that's not a 10-point list of how to fix your shit. It's like we got to come at it in a way that, like, that's why I think that guy communicating in that way, there wasn't a lot of love in that. I get that it's true, but if love is the quintessential way we need to be communicating with each other, then it don't matter how right you are. It's the clanging of cymbals at some point. So if you can't communicate it in love, even in frustration, then you're not a G to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
you're not really a G.
Also, we got to put in context too. When does this, 5 generations later, you've had all these people growing up acting wild and shit, and then you confront an unruly teenager and he says, my great 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 grandmother was raped. Like, there's a place where that stops being automatically met with compassion. Like, all right, bro, we talking about some shit that happened 700 years ago now, and you're claiming present trauma with it, and the fact that you can articulate it takes away. It actually gives you more responsibility to deal with this shit in a way that's productive.
Right.
Also,
but also
dealing
if
with
that
people,
rape though, and if that rape meant that there was no education for that kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, it isn't that simple. Like,
I know
we have to admit there's socioeconomic, like the ghetto is a state of mind, the hood is a state of mind. Where did that state of mind come from? Is it just because black people don't know how to handle money? No. That comes from not being able to handle, like, they weren't allowed for a long time in this country. And I'm not riding for this non-accountability.
But listen, there's black accountants. There's black accountants. They exist. They've worked out their epigenetics and they're keeping books fantastically. One quick thing. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. You ain't got to say much, dude.
You brought up X-Clan, right? What was X-Clan about? What were they rapping about?
Pan-Africanism.
Oh, I know the whole story. Trust me, I already know what happened to them. Trust me.
Yeah, because like they rapped all this. Rapped all this shit, but they're just basically like they have a story of raping a 14-year-old in the studio. So it's like, people are full of shit. You're not gonna sit there.
That's the realest shit ever, right there.
You have to fix yourself.
That's the realest shit ever.
The ghetto, all these problems the black community is having, humans in general, we all have to fix ourselves. So it's like, yeah, there's like a lot of equations in the math. That's why everything's fucked up. But how long does the math have to be for you to be like, all right, when am I going to stop?
I agree.
And above all else, you deserve to be safe. Above all else, you deserve to be safe. You shouldn't have to take an ass whipping because somebody's forefathers was a slave. You shouldn't have to take an ass whooping in 2023 because some kid has what we want to call generational trauma from 10 generations of not being raised with a father. Like, why is that your math to do as a 12-year-old kid on the school bus today? To get your ass beat because some kids want to fucking be violent, or to be walking down the street somewhere and somebody just decides this is the guy I want to punch in the fucking head. Because this is most of the stuff that people are talking about. They're not just talking about black people existing. I don't like seeing black banks. I don't like seeing black entrepreneurs. They're like, yo, they fucking us up out here. They just beating our ass for no reason. Like,
but this is why I'm saying there seems to be a campaign to systematically poison black culture. And it relies on, in general, white liberal people being so loving that we're to the point where we're enabling and encouraging the very shit that's going to destroy black people's ability to be upwardly mobile and to amass wealth and to change the situation. So that's what I'm saying. There's a degree of sabotage here that if we don't speak honestly about it, and you say, well, I do give a fuck about Detroit. I give a fuck about Chicago. I know there's black kids who are born into circumstances where they're almost damn near doomed. Like, this is not gonna end well for you. It's very slim chance you'll be able to cultivate a good decision and a good situation in this environment, in this context. Like, definitely the odds are stacked. But if you're saying, hey, there's any chance to help improve that, right? There's got to be more productive conversations than what we're being allowed to have. And you can't properly diagnose a disease because it makes you uncomfortable or it sounds mean. We got to look. I got to tell you some shit that's going to upset you. It's going to make you sad. So I get exactly where you're coming from. And honestly, in my heart, that's what I feel too. Like, I always want to err on the side of love and acceptance and peace and welcoming and understanding and mercy rather than severity. But I feel that impulse now has been judoed at the enabling of that sentiment, and the people that are willing to espouse it, it's now gone in the opposite direction where it's having a bottom line negative effect. It's a net negative for the practical things that we say we want to solve. So to me, if we really say we care about not maybe black people in general, but specifically black people in the hood that have the worst lot of all, when you're talking about, or they're in the runnings for, if you're born in America, it's still a win. But out of everywhere you could be born in America, what's probably the shittiest circumstance to be born in, right? I think we can agree, like, yeah, if you're broken, if you're in the hood, it's not an easy existence, okay? If we want to fix that, we're never going to do it with the next grift, the next Black Lives Matter. Hey, I'll fix your problems. The next Barack Obama. Just vote for me. Just donate money. Just let me be in charge of Netflix. Just get mad when I tell you to be mad about this Gucci sweater. Just be mad when I tell you to get mad about this song that came out with these offensive lyrics, or this stand-up comedian. As long as you respond to what I'm telling you to respond to, I super duper promise I love you super duper much and I want to fix all your problems. Just give me a little political power or financial currency and I'll make sure it happens. Psych. Let's do it all again with a new face. Because you're saying, hey, we just started having these conversations in the 90s. Bullshit. Black identity was in full effect in the 60s. In the 30s, Marcus Garvey was like red, black, and green. Fly it,
but not in
mainstream. But hold on, one thing, and then I'll shut the fuck up. Yes, but after Jim Crow in the 60s, the Black Panthers were unapologetically black. You can pull up all kinds of news shows where the wokest of the woke shit was absolutely being said, and it was way more reasonable, and it was way more practical given the context in which that conversation had to take place. The level of discourse was way more intelligent, and it was about the same problems. Black people are in the hood and broke. This is probably the fallout of white people hating black people. What do we do to fix it? The parameters of that debate and that conversation have happened endlessly since the civil rights legislation in the 60s. So we're talking about 6 decades, and we're still having the same conversation in the same way, and we're making less progress than ever. We're making less sense than ever.
A few things. First of all, I was just communicating about the way in which he communicated that truth, right? I'm not erring on the side that, like, I love my son, and because I love him, I tell him no a lot. So I'm like, trust me, bro, I'm a dad. I know all about what love looks like. I'm not on some pink cloud enabling black people to, you know, like, I'm not that to me is how this conversation gets derailed on both sides. Similarly, like, what, are you in the street seeing black people lynch white people? Like, I've never seen that in my life. So yeah, it may pop
Give
up
it
on
time.
the internet. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And I have something to say about that too. But the thought I want to get out before I forget. So if you know anything about psychology and healing, say you're in a marriage. I was in a marriage for 15 years, right? And it blew up. It took me 7.5 years to even really begin to get over it. That's the way healing works. There's studies. It's empirically been studied of like how healing takes time, right? So if we agree it was at least, 400 years? And everyone's like, come on, man, it's been 6 decades since we started. Like, bro, we're not even halfway there. Like, we're not even halfway there. And I'm not saying that's an excuse
No,
to let
you're
people
right.
be shitty. You know what I'm saying? But that's the point. Hold on, let me go.
Sorry.
The what I'm saying is that it's real easy for us who have done healing or who have this kind of helicopter view to lay out the 10-point Black Panther plan to somebody, right? They haven't even begun the actual work of shadow, Carl Jungian shadow work. They don't even know what that is, right? So if I love someone, I have to find a way to hold them accountable and meet them where they are. This guy had no interest in that. Like, and I don't know anything about this dude. I don't know anything about this dude. Was he rolling around with fucking Martin Luther King or something? Like, where was this guy at helping black people?
He did say,
shut the fuck up, bro.
He did say that he's been giving money and helping.
Is he a rapper?
He's been
he's giving
Bro,
money.
I'm a rapper. I ain't never seen that. I've never seen that guy before in my fucking life. Who is this guy talking about?
He said he's been giving money and helping black organizations for a long time.
That's great. That's good for him. Good for him. I'm glad he was able to do that. But he ain't probably never been to a barbecue and ate cornbread with a family and actually hung out with black people. So it's different. It's different. That's a very that also isn't like, oh, let me just throw money at this issue and I don't have to interact with these people. That to me isn't the thing either. We're supposed to be getting to know each other, being in each other's communities. I don't know.
I'd rather have that than no help at all. If I am the legal counsel or the financial advisor,
I'm not saying giving money is not good. I'm not saying giving money is not good.
I just mean as a practical matter. If I'm the financial advisor of officially identified blackness, and it's like, listen, these white people will give you some money, but they don't want anything to do with you, versus, okay, they'll give you some money, but you have to let them come eat cornbread with you.
The Nation of Islam did it.
If they don't want to come to the cookout, I wouldn't say I'm going to turn their money away.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that for all we know, he went to a Darius Rucker concert. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what this means? What his identification of helping black people could mean a myriad of fucking things, right? And if you really cared, my thing is, if you really cared about a black person or black people in general, you would communicate that with a little less.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
it depends on what stage of this journey he's at, though. I mean, to keep it real.
I've been close to black people my whole life and have been frustrated in so many ways, right? Of not being accepted or being pigeonholed. This guy has probably never interacted with as many black people as me. And I get it. He doesn't rap. He's not in the culture.
Right.
I don't know what his experience is. But to me, it's a little bit like, oh, so say black people, like, that's why I brought up the mainstream thing. Black people have been like now mainstream, commercially, financially viable since the 80s, 90s as a whole. Hip hop music did that, became the thing. You know, you had R&B, you had big records with black people, but they weren't all over the radio all the time on all the stations until the 90s and early 2000s. So it's a different conversation. So now white people are being confronted with black excellence because these people are becoming rich, and that plays a part in this too. And if I'm telling you intuitively, that's what I hear in that guy's voice, is a frustration maybe where he hasn't had the opportunities he used to have. That's what I get in that thing. Like, boy, he got beat up at the store by a black person. He handed a black person $100 and they kicked him in the nuts. Like, why are you so mad? What happened? You know what I'm saying? I don't see black people out here beating white people up. I don't see shit like that.
There's some sites I can see.
It's happening.
It's
definitely happening.
You can find anything on the internet, bro. You can find anything.
Hold on. This is what Tommy Sotomayor used to say to people. He would play videos of black women fucking ripping each other's weave out and fucking each other up at the what is Chuck E. Cheese and like just everywhere. And people would always call in or go to his comments and be like, well, white people do it too. And he'd be like, just send me the videos. Just find the videos of white people beating each other's asses at this rate, and I'll play those videos and talk about those too. Now, of course, people, like we said, people are violent. People are violent for a lot of reasons these days. But on Twitter, especially Instagram, TikTok, anywhere you could see people interacting with each other on videos, there is an extreme rash of this fucking, it's what seems like just random violence. People fighting in school, people fighting on the street, people fighting in restaurants, and like no matter where you go, there's videos of, and it's not just America
either. How many
either.
mass shootings have we had so far?
It's not just America either. The same thing's happening in Europe, and they're like, look at what these immigrants are doing over here, and people are like, yo, that's racist. You can't say that. So there's a very strange chain of events happening, and the people who are complaining about being victimized the most are people who happen to belong to a phenotype who has historically abused other people in the world. So the narrative is like, well, you shouldn't be complaining because Christopher Columbus. You're like, what the fuck does that have to do with you getting slapped in the mouth by a Saudi today because you was walking in London? What does that have to do with anything? It doesn't make sense. Instead of addressing it and being like, you know what, that's fucked up. Why are these people fucking everybody up? Versus saying you can't notice a pattern in these people fucking everybody up because noticing that pattern is racist, and then silence the conversation. That's just going to suppress people's feelings, suppress people's emotions, get people even more angry because they're getting victimized and feeling like they're not being heard, and it just starts the cycle all over again. It's the same shit. Everybody wants to start this problem with racial shit after the Moorish occupation of Spain. Nobody talks about that. Everything after that, the Portuguese put Negroes on ships. They don't want to talk about what happened in Spain for 900 years. Like, that's just often, we can't talk about that because it shows you that all this whole thing is the Game of Thrones. It spokes on the wheel. The wheel just keeps turning. But we just, same thing with masculine and feminine. And we're patriarchal societies, but then somebody flipped the table over. Why do you think they flipped the table over?
The thing nobody wants to talk about when it comes to healing, especially with all love, and I don't know if I should be using my real name, but women specifically, the hard part about healing is that it's up to you to heal. Like, you can't look at someone else and expect your opinion of how they treated you to make you feel better. Actually, it's the opposite. I had to finally realize, like, all my abusers, they're not thinking about my abuse. I'm the only one playing that tape in my head still.
Right.
I'm watching that horror movie over and over and over again. My mom or whoever it was isn't like, oh, that one time I did that to Jeremy, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, that's for a big group of people with what they call a pain body that big, the black people in America. What if most of it wasn't even true, right? But the concept of it being in the art, and like similarly saying there's all these videos of black people beating white people up, like, bro, that shit is on purpose. Same with the police brutality, it all being black people. That narrative is to keep black people in that whole mentality. And the friends I have, they're so tired of that shit. They would rather be talking about being Moors, because it's like, yeah, we're conquerors too. We're not just slaves, dude. Like, the black people I know are tired of that. But the majority, that concept is a lack of identity for Westerners in general. And black people, they're able to pin it down and say, I don't know my name. But white people in America don't know shit about their ancestry either.
Right.
Nobody does. Nobody's like, oh, I come my 10-generation Nordic ancestral Germanic tribe. Nah, my mom was from Jersey is all you'll hear. You know what I'm saying? Nobody gives a fuck about ancestry. So it's like, it's a big situation that race is this funny little lure that they use to distract us from the actual issue, which is identity in general, being connected to our ancestors, being connected to where we came from, and all of that on this planet. And that's that. The power in that is that when you don't know who you are, they can sell you anything. And that's what racism really is. It's a sales tactic. It's like, I'm gonna be able to sell you whatever idea I want to sell you because you guys aren't allowed to hang out together. When in fact, black people and white people are much closer in similarity than anything, bro. Our dissimilarities compared to another species are literally molecular compared to like a salamander. You know what I'm saying? We're so much different than that. We're barely different. You know, our hair is different. Yeah,
it's
you know,
less than
pigment,
2%.
that shit. You know what I'm saying?
2%
Some of us white guys,
sequencing.
some of us white guys have big dicks. You know what I'm saying? What are you gonna do?
Not many though.
What are you gonna do?
Not many. Most of them have. Egg penis. Egg penis is my favorite racial slur I've ever heard in my life.
I've never heard that before.
Well, to be fair, it's not white people. It's stolen legacy juice. Who, by the way, when you said people don't care about their ancestry, stolen legacy juice, they absolutely do.
Absolutely do. Yeah, there's a handful, but y'all aren't really white. Y'all are Jews. Y'all aren't really white.
Well, we call black people call them white. Black people call
as
them
they
white.
should.
Jews are all not even white, bro. And that whole thing is a whole other conversation. How Jewish people don't get wrapped up with the white thing. But yeah,
but
anyways,
it's all a trap, bro. It's ego traps, bro. All of it. Because you can take one conversation about ancestry leads you to this pride and sense of self and anchoring yourself in reality across the time and ages and shit, and another conversation about bloodline makes you want to kill everybody who's not related to you. Like people, all of this information that people take, it just depends on who it lands on, how it sinks in, and depends how it's going to be projected onto the world. None of it is a real solve, because there's too many iterations of people. There's so many iterations and possibilities of how people are going to take this shit. Like you could take two people into the same thing and show them the same shit, and they're going to come out with two different ideas about how they should live their life. So some people who said, oh, I don't know where my great-great-grandmother's from. That's all right. It's fine. I'm going to learn how to build financial systems, and I'm going to get rich selling my skills to corporations. Another one says, I don't know where my great-great-grandmother's from, and I didn't have no father, so I'm just going to do fucking armed robberies. Both people had the same thing, had the same possibilities, the same situation and equation ahead of them, so to speak, and they just make different choices. None of it really matters down to a place where you could say this is causing that and that's causing this. There's a lot of poor people walking around. There's a lot of poor people in these major cities too, but you can't keep this narrative from reaching. You can stop it from getting to Fox News. You can stop certain stuff, like the fact that this black kid in the Black Student Union had a list of 250 racial slurs for white people. That may not make it to the news because it doesn't fit their grander narrative.
Right.
If you take that and you change the races, a white kid had a list of black, then that's all over the news, right?
Yeah.
But the other stuff is more interpersonal. It's just somebody at the carnival and they just pull out their phone and they're recording somebody fighting.
Also, they say no press is bad press, and part of the, like, this is something my boy Frank told me, and it kind of blew my mind. It's simple, but also like going after white people harder because of that makes it seem like that is more important, which still puts white people in a position of superiority. That's part of why that all happens. Is like, oh, it's a much bigger deal that a white man does it because that's part of the narrative. He can actually do something about it. That once again is removing autonomy from black people. Like, what, black people can't do something about it? Why? Oh,
yeah, the devil is more powerful than God.
Exactly.
I grew up in the suburbs, so like when I would meet the city kids, they'd be like, "Yo, why you talk white?" It wasn't until my brother was like, "Why is it that the white man has to be like the proper speaking human being?"
Exactly.
Like, why are we getting
it's because black people have a love-hate relationship with whiteness. They hate it to a degree for these historical ideas and stuff like that, but they also attribute a lot of this logical, intelligent, decent way of being things. They attribute that with white people.
What's wild is when you say whiteness, you know what I hear? Because when you say it like that, and what you're talking about is capitalism, really, or like industrialism. It's not really whiteness. Like,
right, but
it's
yeah.
Yeah. So
Being
that's what I mean. It's like once once again, that's removing, like, black people aren't industrious. Have you ever seen the kids in Legos, like, build a fucking iPhone from scratch in a market with no shoes on? You know what I'm saying? Like, Nigerian people are some of the most industrious people. There's more billionaires in Legos per capita than anywhere in the world, right?
Boys out here scamming heavy. Still the king.
It's wild, bro. The Yoruba people are wild. But it's like, again, it's like what it does is make it we're superior, but it's in a bad way. So they win either way. So you're superior, you're better and stronger than black people, but you're the devil. Okay, you're a slave, you have no power, but you're the good person. So it's like they're taking, you gotta respect it, bro. That's a powerful trick to pull, where you utilize a power dynamic where neither person has power. You do. Whoever can siphon that energy off, whether it's a corporation or a government. It's like, God damn, bro, these dudes are cold. Like, this old world magic is pretty gangster, bro. You have to admit it.
Yeah.
It's all stupid, and I'll tell you why. George Carlin had a bit where he was like, people are trying to save the world. Save the world. The world ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going there. So don't tell me about plastic. Maybe that's the only reason humans exist. The earth wanted plastic, couldn't figure out how to make plastic on its own, so it made us, and then when it's done with us, it'll just incorporate plastic into the new paradigm after humans are extinct. So don't worry about plastic lasting forever, right? It's just something that got made in the scheme of things. So what if that's all white people are? If white people came from black people, and black people were like, look, spaceships look like a lot of work. I'm going to go ahead and farm this out. So some of these dudes look like weirdos. We're going to exile them.
Shit.
And they're going to go, and they're basically going to go to the Gold's Gym of being industrious. We're going to put them in the middle of this cave and it's freezing. They're going to have to lay with dogs and figure out fire. That's going to lead to fucking steam engines and eventually lead to the internet so we can get on iPhones and talk shit about it. But this is going to work out in our favor. We got the long game. So if you really saw all human beings, as you should, with just souls in various meat suits, we speciated differently. That's it.
Yep.
What if it didn't? What if what happened was, instead of black people freaking out when some of them came out yellow and exiling them, right? What if it happened that, oh, you motherfuckers can't digest milk? Get the fuck out of here. And we all looked exactly the same, but we were fighting because the people that can process, that have the enzymes to break down milk, ended up ruling the world. And the real racism was the milk drinkers and the milk intolerant. But everybody looked the fucking same.
That's a logistic nightmare.
But that's how it is in Africa.
But I'm saying,
though.
there's just a genetic variation. We're all still a part of the human family. We all look exactly the same, but we've got this thing because the way that it manifested itself is we look different. So now because we speciated different, when we come back to black people and say, hey, we figured out plastic. You want to carry some shit with some plastic? Get your white man, your Kubian sorcery, the fuck out of my face. I'll enjoy it on my own terms, but I'm still not going to like you for as long as fucking possible. Look, if you understand that we're all and we're just navigating meat suits, you already understand we're the same shit. I'm just coming back. I'm coming back with the goodies.
In Nigeria, there's 900 languages in Nigeria. 900 different languages. There's hundreds and hundreds of different tribes, and they don't like each other, and they're all black. You know, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
When they come to America, make money, and they go back home and have these rich houses, guess who their servants are?
Black people. Yeah,
exactly.
Other tribes. Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Absolutely,
and
amazing.
and who they hate the most, bro. I've had long, like, I used to date a Nigerian and live with a bunch of them, and they do not like African Americans. Like, not even a little bit, dude. Not even a little bit. And I would sit there and argue. You would have thought I was Talcum X, like trying to fight for. African Americans.
You don't understand.
Just get the fuck away from them.
They
just
love
get the
me,
fuck away.
That's like wild, bro. That's a TV sitcom show I would watch.
100%, bro. 100%, dude.
It's like
100%.
Three's Company, the new Three's
Company.
Company.
Just get out. No. The All in the Family reboot.
Yeah, the All in the Family reboot. Yeah, it's a black family, and they got the white son-in-law with the dreadlocks.
Right, always African Americans.
Beautiful.
Don't call them.
Oh, dude, let's fucking make it. Let's make it. I'm down.
That's a good
Dude,
one.
I love that idea.
That's a
I
good
love,
one.
and that's the other thing too. Is like, bro, Nigerians love what I'm doing, my music, my spirituality, and then it's American Black folks who kind of look at me like, well, you didn't earn that. You know, I'm like, okay, you know, it's all
How are
good,
you
bro.
supposed to earn it?
I don't know, bro. I pray more than they do. You know what I'm saying? I pray. I pray all the time. I've got.
I meet a Nigerian. That's how you're supposed to earn it.
Bro, humans are fucking hilarious, bro.
It's hilarious.
Humans
Yeah,
are
it's funny.
absolutely hilarious. The whole thing, every opportunity they get is fucking funny, bro.
Well, that's why like psilocybin and that shit is such a equalizer, because once you go deep into that, you see how stupid and temporal all of this is. It's silly, and we think we got this shit even slightly figured out, and we're literally arguing over whether Adam and Eve have belly buttons. That's how silly we look with the race shit, with whatever like that. What we're talking about is so irrelevant to what it means to be just a being existing here, and we spend all our time doing that, and then wonder why we're not thriving, because we're arguing over literally the different fruits. Like, I like oranges better than apples. Fuck you, you know.
Well, Joe fucked his daughters. You hate those guys.
Yeah, dude. Listen, it's just all comedy.
I think it was Lot. Don't put that on Joe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Job.
Job
Don't
ain't
put
never
another
bothered
thing
nobody.
on Job. Job
Right.
don't need any more smoke.
Damn,
right?
now they saying you fucked your daughters, Joe.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why
bro.
you got sores all over you.
Job can't catch a break, dog. He's always getting fucked up for something.
Nah, this shit, it's all comedy, man. And I think the main takeaway from all of we joke about this shit because, it's something to feed the algorithm. This shit writes itself. It writes itself. It's something to feed the algorithm because this is what people are talking about. And I think one of the most consistent ways that we've gotten to good points and practical ideas is grabbing onto something that looks like the silliest shit possible. And you can ignore it. You can totally ignore it, and that's what I did for a really long time, just completely ignore it. But when you start to look at it, it's like the simulation. It buries and weaves these lessons into everything that's available out there, and there's a lot of different outcomes you can get. The rabbit holes are infinite. But when you grab onto something and we start talking about it and tearing the shit apart and laughing at it, some good ideas usually do come out of it, and it's because that's what we're authentically aligned to look for. We're really trying to find solutions in all of this shit. And some of the stupidest shit that's circulating out here is just this recurring energy, recurring idea, something that just keeps replaying itself. And for the most part, people are just not getting it. And that's why it keeps replaying. We got a lot of race hustlers out here still on both sides.
And honestly, my journey, bro, and I can say that reconciling my own whiteness it's a challenge, bro, because like I came up with rap music. I like, I've only primarily dated black women. It just is what it is. I didn't go out of my way to be like this, but I did spend a lot of time hating white people.
Yeah,
and now as I'm getting older and like I'm in the shamanic arts, it's wild, bro. I like literally did not like white people. I didn't feel comfortable around them.
Imagine that.
Because bro.
Imagine that. Like that's fucking crazy, bro.
But let me tell you, bro, when I brought my first, check this out. When I brought my first girlfriend home, black girl, my mom cried and asked her to leave. My grandfather tried to disown me because I had a black girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like, I found out later, but like, there's reasons. I wasn't just like, oh, fucking white people are corny and Bon Jovi ain't got no rhythm or some shit like that. It wasn't like that. It was, I experienced that shit, like a lot of that shit, being with black people in the store and them getting harassed. Like, I'm sure Yakub has seen all that shit too, but being up against it and then my heroes being all black people, it was like, white people are trash. You know what I'm saying? I remember thinking, oh, I want to live with the Huxtables, bro. All black people are doctors and shit. When I was little, I was like, oh man, black people are doctors. They're all in college. Like, this shithole I'm in sucks. Like, I don't want to live here. You know what I'm saying?
And
but again,
think about on the other side. And then think about on the other side of that. You're processing these things from your side as a white person, having to, like you said, reconcile your whiteness. Whereas on the other side, we're sitting around at the cookout listening to our folks tell us about how sneaky and untrustworthy white people are, and it's a joke. Everybody's laughing at it. Everybody's like, oh, ha ha ha, yeah, grandma's right about crackers. And this
but it's
is
where we are, though.
But it's what's
It's
pushing,
where we are.
what we're
White people-
putting people out into the world. My cousins and young people are going out into the world with these ideas, and both sides are dealing with race completely differently. One side there's nothing you can say as a white family about black folks that could be disparaging. That's not this. Automatically, you're a racist. You're terrible. Now, if your black grandmother tells you something, don't trust white people, now we have to add nuance and context. But what was her experience?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's going to ask that about the white lady who says, watch out. If you're walking down the street, you see a pack of Negroes, you might want to cross over. You know, they might fuck you up. That's racist. You're going to get canceled. But if grandma says you don't trust white people, it's like, no, grandma's probably right. It's going to create different outcomes.
Well, it's modernity, right? It's informed by real things. Just like my distaste for white people was informed by racism I saw in my family and almost being disowned. That black grandma has probably had some bad experiences. Not saying the white grandma didn't get scared by some black people or maybe get robbed or something. But
the truth is, they're both right. They're both right. Some white people could definitely do you dirty and put you in a position you don't want to be in. And and some black white folks some black people could definitely just beat your ass randomly for no reason. They're both right, but we would only correct one of them. Is the point? We would only correct the white lady for warning you about blacks. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's just creating different outcomes for people out in the world.
Well,
nobody thought it was wrong.
Narrative.
Yeah, nobody thought nothing was wrong with me as a teenager walking around with a hatred for white people in general. That was like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do when you're a young black youth. But I know white people, like you said, they're half white or something like that, and they have no problem making a sweeping general statement about white people sucking. And like, this is half of your lineage, your family. No, I don't fuck with my white side, bro. Like what the fuck are you talking? Like, I can't even imagine. They don't ever name character flaws. They don't say I don't like racist white people, or I don't like white people who aren't compassionate. That you don't need those. You don't need those caveats. You can just say white people. I don't like white people.
Well, because hating white people is what makes you black.
Right. It's
and
cool.
if you're a white person that's ingratiated yourself with black people, this is going to be the byproduct.
Right.
You're going to not like white people at least a little bit.
For no other reason other than them being white.
It wasn't like for me.
No, I'm just saying as a requirement. Black people only require.
But how many Jewish people and Muslim people, had businesses in the hood and were murdered, or who had a family member that was murdered?
Yeah.
So that family, whether they'll admit it or not, it's like, yeah, I don't think your black friend should stay the night.
Totally.
Well, why?
Totally.
Why? Well, because Bubby was shot in the head when a black man murdered her husband right in front of her. It's kind of fucked up.
Right,
no, that's real shit.
Is that why he wanted to kill all the black people?
Listen, it's real shit. If a black person says, I don't like white people around a mixed crowd, there's no other questions that you need to ask. You feel like you have all the information you need why this black person doesn't like white people. If a white person says, I don't like black people, they have to explain themselves.
No, first they have to apologize.
First apologize.
Before anyone will even allow them to try
prostrate yourself on the floor, take some lashes, and then get up and tell us what happened. Did somebody hurt you? Was somebody in your family robbed or beaten or shot? Like, what happened? We need to know what brought you to this conclusion. But if you just say, I don't like white people, people just nod like, yeah, I get it, bro.
It's understandable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
I was just saying, it just makes a bad situation. It just makes a bad situation to put people in a position where they don't have to explain themselves. Nobody's going to ask any questions. You're just going to have this carte blanche to do whatever you want, especially when it comes to grouping people up. Anytime you can group of people up with nothing other than some immutable characteristic about them, I think you're starting some trouble. It's going to be a problem. Just because it's white people doesn't mean, it's fine. White people can take it. When that's enough, just saying the color and a group of people, that's enough for us to over scrutinize or it's supposed to invoke a feeling. If I say, it was white people, should that make me upset? Should it make me feel safe? Or it should never work. There's no characteristic that you could name about a person and just say, this group of people, that should make you really feel any type of way. If somebody says, you lost your wallet at this place last night, but the person who found it was black. Don't worry. Does that mean they're not going to fucking steal your shit? Or they're white, don't worry. So I should feel safe now? No, it doesn't make any sense. There's no situation you can apply to it where naming the color of the people involved should really make you feel any type of way, left or right. But they fucked us into a corner.
The carte blanche, though, it makes for situations where black people have become moral rock stars. Like, rock stars get to behave badly because, by virtue of them being rock stars.
Right.
Yeah, he cheated on his wife. He fucked a 14-year-old girl. He destroyed the fucking hotel room because him and everybody did a whole bunch of cocaine, and the label's going to pay for it. Like, there's behavior that would get other people, like, you're ruined. They're never going to let you come back and manage racetrack after what you did in that hotel room.
Right.
But if you're a rock star, you get away with shit, right? And so it makes your character shitty because you're not held to the same standard.
Right.
So what all that we're really doing by having this, like, we're not going to give and that's why I connected to, because there are strains of Judaism that really kind of promote that in that a lot of Jewish people will be the first ones to jump up and like defend the worst behaviors in black people that they would never accept from their own children, because they'd be like, I love you. If I let you go down this path, you'll destroy yourself. This is not what's good for you.
Totally.
They would intervene to no degree to shame their children and to raise their and to make sure their children to get on that path. But when they jump up to defend black people, it's like they allow for this poisoning of the culture. It's like, by making them moral rock stars, you're going to give them bad character. That bad character, if you let it fester too long, it's going to poison the culture at large. In the long run, this is not good for black people. This is not good for black people being able to solve their own problems. To relate, right? It's not a recipe that you'd want for anybody. But again, it's almost like as a species, we've just decided like, okay, all of these foods are what will kill you. Like, don't eat McDonald's, don't eat KFC. Were we going to outlaw them? Well, we're not going to outlaw them. We're just going to let black people eat them nonstop. Like, that's basically what we've done with morality in the public square. None of us are going to eat it. We're not going to talk racist about anybody. We're not going to make any excuses about whether we can succeed or not. We're just going to put our mind on success. We're not going to be burdened down by any of this shit because we recognize it's poison for your own character and your own productivity. That's not for us. Well, why do we have it even in society? Black people. Black people are hungry.
Yeah, they can. So that's fine for them.
We've made black people in a unique position where they can hold these attitudes about race and opportunity, no matter how much data is to the contrary, that would empower them. And the reason why there's that split between Haitians or Nigerians or Jamaicans or Trinidadians or anybody other culture that comes to America and happens to be black, they're like, look, I'm getting this money. I'm not seeing that same shit y'all are talking about. It's cool, I guess, slavery or whatever, I don't know. But I'm about to be a doctor, so fuck all the dumb shit. So there's a different mind state that they come over with, and black skin is not a barrier to entry, and they know that and they capitalize on it. So when they look at African Americans saying, look, I came here, I couldn't speak the language, and I'm black, and I'm worth XYZ millions of dollars.
Well,
I did this, and I wasn't even born here.
Well, because it was a spiritual kind of program and linguistic, like more than, I mean, look, black people were lynched, slavery is real, all of that is real.
White people were lynched too.
But
white people
were consistent, too. But I'm just saying in America, in the consistent narrative since then, that's why that when Nigerians or West Indian people come here, they weren't a part of that, right? They weren't here for that. They were in Africa. They were in
Jamaica,
know the
struggle.
Whatever. They don't. Well, not even the struggle. It's like they're not listening to that song. You know what I'm saying? They don't even know that song. It's a fucking hypnotizing thing.
Absolutely.
So like
it's a fucking siren song.
We've all been listening to this song for so long, and really the poisoning is to make sure that song stays in place. Because they know, like the atrocity happens. And I'm not saying it's like 5 people twisting their mustaches, but as a collective, corporatism and all of that works in these ways of like, how do we maximize our polarity position in this? How do we stay in the middle, polarize people to the left and right so we get all the power? And that's how they do it over and over and over. And it's funny that it's still working.
Just showing us what to do right now live.
Yeah, Adidas knows what they know how to do it. A lot of people do. It's
What's
smart.
going on with them?
They came
What's going on
crawling.
with them?
They came crawling back to Kanye.
First of all.
Oh, they came back to Kanye. Well,
As
yo,
they
you know,
should.
he did that, but he did that to get out of those contracts. People don't realize that a lot of that was because he didn't want to be in business with those people anymore.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see if he goes back.
They have to rewrite the deal.
Yeah,
they can't sell.
exactly.
They can't sell none of the shoes that he made, that he didn't release through them. So they have all these designs and shit.
They got on their knees and they suck Kanye's dick.
Kanye made a different song, bro. Kanye made a different song.
Yeah,
everybody hates him for it.
Yeah,
everybody hates him. He's like, "Yo, this is the song. Y'all are tripping. Listen to these chords. Watch me as I work." And they're like, "You house, you jigaboo, blah blah blah." And now he's like, "Boom! Look at me. Chappelle similarly, like, also, you know Chappelle's down with a lot of white people. People don't realize that. Like, he lives with he calls them the poor whites. He lives with them out in Ohio, bro. And he's like a black Muslim running around with Kweli. But it's like there's a power in that. We gotta make a new song. I'm tired of it myself. I'm mainly because it's like boring. This shit gets boring after a while. You know, it's like, oh, are we still talking about this?
And destructive. It'd just be different. It's basically the song that's wiring the frequency for your day. And there's a frequency in which you're going to capitalize on opportunity. You're going to get money. You're going to build stronger relationships. You're going to have a better life. You're going to have a better community. There's a frequency that radiates that Nigerians, Haitians, black people that come here with black skin, but not with an American black mentality, right? So that's why you can't say just by virtue of being this, you can't succeed here. And that's the problem, is that's the popular narrative that's being demanded for everybody to bow to. And to deviate from that even a little bit, if you suggest for a second that maybe black people are more powerful than that, or more capable than that,
or they're gods,
right?
You know,
But we're being forced to frame it that way, and it's like, okay, if at the end of the day these conversations are about race, are just so we can defend the poison recipe for black culture, no, this is pointless. This is not gonna help anything. It's gonna contribute to guaranteeing that you'll always have people that can come around, promise to help, and not fix anything. It guarantees that. Like, I almost feel like if you do the history of the last 60 years, it's like, you haven't seen this movie before, you haven't figured out that this is how it works yet. Like, these are all carnival barkers. You're never gonna get the ball through the milk jug.
They don't want to. They don't want to know. That's not the game they're playing. They come here to be taken in by the show. It's like being in. It's rude to go see Fast and Furious Part 10 and they drive their cars into the center of the sun and you're in the middle of the movie theater like, you can't do that. You can't survive that. Like, this is not the place. You know, you go home, you make your review on your own podcast, but you don't go to the theater and yell that out. That's rude. And that's what's happening here, is that these people are just in the real world acting this shit out. They're being taken in by the theater of it all. And they don't, it's like this thing plays itself out in so many places. It's like hearing women who complain about men not being emotionally available, right? So women are having conversations with men, and the men are offering logical solutions to the problem that's being submitted in the conversation. But the women find that like some kind of patriarchal emotional rape or something like that, because he's circumventing all of the 2 hours of talking just to be like, why don't you just do this? And they don't want solutions. She just wants to rant and talk shit about the woman at her job, and she wants you to be like, yeah, that bitch is fat anyway. She just wants to be like you, honey. Like, that's what she wants. She wants somebody to engage with her in the ping pong match of talking shit, not a real solution. So that's what a lot of these people want. They just want you to engage in the ping pong match of it all. I got a family member, a cousin of mine, who sent, she might be listening to the podcast right now. She sends me mad like race bait and shit all the time. And she knows who I am. She knows my wife is Polish. They hated her the first time they met her, the whole nine, like all of that kind of shit. But I'm like, why are you sending me Malcolm X quotes and shit? Like, Why though? I'm just trying to understand. Just on a random day, just like, yeah, she'll send me some shit about some random thing, and then just write America with 3 Ks. Like
she's better off sending them to me. Just
right? Yeah, exactly.
You get way more traction with surreal.
Yeah, like why are you sending this shit to me, bro? Like I totally understand what you're saying. I just don't equate it all to white people. I think humans suck as a species, right? So if you want to point out some bad shit that white people did, okay, yeah, that's good. It's like you just want to zoom in on these particular subspecies of humans,
them?
and just them. I've already seen too much of the big picture. I know we all suck. We're all terrible. We all treat each other like absolute shit. Anywhere on the globe, I've said this 10 times. I challenge anybody to do it. Just spin a globe, or go to since that's all old tactile shit. So let's go digital. Go to Google Maps, right? And just pick a random place on Google Maps. Random place. And then do some history. Do some research on the history of that place. And there's probably going to be some people who was fucking each other up at one time. Somebody burnt some witches. Some rapes took place. Somebody kidnapped and killed a bunch of kids. Like, that just seems to be how humans project themselves on the planet. I haven't seen any group of people and anywhere in history that have been insulated from that level of atrocity. You can't say, oh, well, in ancient Egypt, there was nothing but harmony. No, there's fucking people up over there, too. Well, the Mayans made the first calendar. They also cut motherfuckers' hearts out and murdered virgins. So guess what? Humans are screwy, bro. They just are. At every level, humans are screwy. So I don't have the energy to turn on my microscope and zoom in on one particular group of humans. Like, yeah, but the gays. Yeah, but the Jews. Yeah, but the trans folks. It doesn't matter. We're all shitty to each other at some time or another. That's just what it is, and I'm convinced of it. So, I mean, of course, there's people doing beautiful things and people trying to build a better world and all of that, and I completely accept that, and I want to definitely see more of it. I want to be involved in that kind of shit, but there's no group of people who are exempt from being terrible. So I don't even understand why we need to slice and dice it up and try to stack the deck against one or the other. Nobody here is good. Everybody's fucked up. So why does it matter? That's the only question that's what the question I approach this shit with. Because I know a lot of black folks who still want to roll around in that whole, like, yeah, but they lynched us. And fucking naming on Emmett Till. Bro, this Emmett Till shit, and I blame Devon. I blame him 100% because I've never needed in my whole life to do any research on Emmett Till. I've never had to look into it. And, you hear the story. You accept it because of what you think you know about the world. Yeah, he whistled at a white woman. Maybe, allegedly, he may have not even whistled. And she got him killed. She called her husband and his brother, and they beat him to death because he whistled at a white woman. And then then somebody says, well, let's look at what else allegedly happened. Let's just read this account, read this story. All this other shit that took place, and none of it really matters because there's never really a reason for 3 or 4 adult males to beat a teenager to death. Like, just take them to the police station and give them 50 years if you have to.
A beat, period.
Right, yeah, there's just no reason. There's no reason for it, right? But all of these other things that took place, and then you just account mob justice, the time. It's like, what if that motherfucker really did do some funny style shit in that store, according to the person, of course, the woman who said, who's never retracted her story in like 70 years or some shit like that. She was like, nah, son was in here bugging. He moved up all close to me and was like, and you're like, yo, where's this coming from? White folks just be making shit up. And then it's like, well, look up who his father was. And then you find out this motherfucker's father was in the military and got arrested in the military for rape and murder and was court-martialed and given a death penalty in the military. It's like the simulation.
But they lied on him too, though.
They had to.
They had to. White supremacy.
Bro, it never stops. It never stops. Any rabbit hole you want to look into, the simulation has another joker to pull out on your ass. It's going to flip another card, and you're going to be like, yo, what the fuck is all of this? All of it's absurd. None of it makes any fucking sense. But people love the myriad of games that we get to play with each other. We get to play games with sex and gender and who's gay and who's straight, who's black and who's white, who's in shape and who's not. And like, no matter how many ways you get to divide people, they just love it. We love it.
blacks and Jews want to argue about who's truly the Jews that are God's chosen.
Right.
Neither one of them want to argue about who's the more moral.
No, it doesn't matter. Who's God's
notice
best
that
friend?
No one's ever arguing for the moral identity.
No, it doesn't
It
matter.
always has. It's the racial shit, and this was the whole divide, like in the New Testament. Like why are we righteous? Well, we cut our dick skins off. We don't eat pork, and God chose us. We're the yeah, but you're pieces of shit. You're not taking care of your parents, so you can have this big temple and these nice big tassels and all this other shit that you got. Like this seems like a big scam. Like you're scamming the people. Like you keep promising we're gonna get out from under Rome, but we always see you like at Roman parties. You're amassing power and got insider trading. Like I don't think you're really looking out for us. Well, I'm a Levite and we're basically in charge, so fuck off. Nobody cares what you think. Like I'm in charge.
And that's the story of humanity forever.
Right. And then until somebody comes along and says, "Look, I don't think what you are has shit to do with it. So I'm gonna sit with this Samaritan bitch. I'm gonna do some race mixing. I'm gonna go around to the unclean races." And then before you know it, all of a sudden, you got dudes that still got their dick skins following Jewish principles, are basically taking Judaism. Well, what happened? What happened was there was a civil war in Judaism. Is it going to be based on what's ethnic, or is it going to be based on what's ethical? And it had a split. And when you see today, when people are thinking about, when you talk about vibrational tribalism versus phenotypical tribalism, that's what you're saying. Like, is it a virtue? Am I virtuous by virtue of staying loyal to this phenotype no matter what? No matter what the agenda is, no matter whether we have the facts right or not, am I going to do whatever I can so I'm in good with pledging allegiance to this agenda? Is that smarter? Like, or is it more enlightened, or is it a more spiritually sophisticated notion to say, look, I don't give a fuck if these motherfuckers cut their dick skins or not. These dudes are pieces of shit. They got an island. There's some egg penises and some questionable shit going down. I don't want to be on their flight logs. I'm out of here. I'm not going to side with them just because we both have egg penises. Like, I'm not going to be in it just for that, right? At some point, you're saying, okay, you don't share my morals. You don't share my values. That really should be the underlying thing. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the lost tribe of Epstein.
The egg penis ones.
The egg.
We got an
penis
island
ones.
with fucking kids. You want in on this? Nah, I'm good. I'm good. But you got an egg penis.
I'll fix.
This is for
you. I'll fix your camera and cut your grass though.
Like I'll get a paycheck, but I'm good. I'm good on the rituals.
Get too deep.
Nah, it has to be something. It has to be deeper principles. Metaphysics are fucked. If you and that's just in my opinion. That's how I intend to organize my compound. I say it all the time. If you want to organize your compound by penis length, by hair texture, skin color, eye color, sexual orientation, I say you should have every right to organize. I only want Puerto Rican midgets on my compound. If that's what you think is the next iteration of functional humanity, if that's what you think the longevity is for how we're going to interact with each other, I say you should build it and just let us see what the results are. I personally think it has to be something deeper.
Boricua. Morena,
yeah. That's all you need. Just Puerto Rican midgets. If we get all Puerto Rican, the food will be seasoned right. There won't be no patriarchy because they're too short. So it'll be awesome, and everybody will love each other.
The cover band will be called Lil Pun.
Lil Pun. We'll have the band that was playing in From Dusk Till Dawn at the Titty Twister. We'll have those guys in there playing, and everything will be perfect, like they tell us about Africa before the white man came. Everything will be perfect. Like you said, it's 900 languages, it's 1,000 tribes, and everybody just gets along perfectly. Nobody charges each other interest. They don't have to lock their doors. There's no such thing as private property. Everything's perfect, right? Nope, probably not. Probably not. They're probably fucking each other up too, because that's just how this shit goes. Nobody's immune. Like, oh, white people aren't savages. You just not look. They didn't have cell phone cameras when William Wallace was getting chopped into 8 pieces and mailed around to different parts of Europe to tell people not to fucking have rebellions and shit. Nobody got that on their Instagram. But
exactly.
But the battle axes were swinging. Let me just let you know. Motherfuckers couldn't even tell each other apart. They was just swinging. It wasn't even no red and blue back then. They just, got two big groups of white people and just had them tackle each other. And whoever walks away, walks away. So this shit's been going on forever. And it's going to continue. It's going to continue because humans are tribal in nature. But I think vibrational tribalism is just the next iteration that's going to help people put things in perspective. Because you can't just organize by skin color. I mean, you can. Go for it. But I'm just saying I don't think it's going to work. And this is what people seem like they want to do right now. We've circled back around to where segregation, separation, and all that kind of shit is in question. Martin Luther King said it too. He said, I might have integrated my people into a burning building. So maybe when he realized what was really going on, he's like, I think I fucked up.
But isn't that the joke of it all, right? Like we had segregation. We said take it away, and now we're basically circling back. We need it back.
Yeah, because
so basically you're saying the white man was right.
Like
George Wallace was right. That's what black people are saying. You Ku Klux Klan motherfuckers were absolutely right.
Like
we should have never been at the Wars County. You're
black
right.
consciousness, blackness in general as a concept is the battered wife of the relationship.
Well, totally. You know how often, I know for me, my exes look back, on some pillar assault shit. It's always like that. You think not to say that black people are going to look back and be like, oh, it was so much better when shit was horrible. But it's always going to be the other thing is better. Like, this isn't working until people start to really like zone in on contentment and happiness and meditation and actually taking accountability for their own shit, which is happening, by the way. We don't really have a choice. We're going through a collective upgrade right now, for real. And you can hang on if you want. You can go to your deathbed being a racist piece of shit, or not, handling your biz and being accountable and dealing with some of your demons. But like, your life's not going to get any easier over the next 30 or 40 years because it's just not. It's time. We got to grow up, bro. We got to grow up. The shit we're talking about with all the race stuff. This is like middle school shit. We're beyond this. We need to be beyond this.
You're right. It should be. But it's the fact that it's so prevalent in society right now. The fact that it's almost like it's absurd. That's exactly the right word. It's absurd that at this age, this is the conversation that we still have to have. That this is what's really going on in the world. People are like, can blacks and whites actually exist together in the same spaces? It's like, what the fuck is going on, bro?
Well, out in the real world, bro, that's the thing. That internet shit is dangerous just because you can cut something up or push a certain ideal.
Sure.
But out in the real world, even during COVID, I remember during COVID, they're like, oh, it's fucking death in the streets. And I go out and get watermelon from the lady on the corner and be like, shit is normal. The birds are chirping. So it's like wherever we put our attention, that grows, to quote my brother, Don. It's like we have to focus. Us having this conversation in a way is focusing on the bigger picture because we're resolution based. We're calling out the absurdity. But that we're not the only people having this conversation. There's a lot of people like us. And it's about just continuing on because what else are we going to do? Like he said, it's like we either get in a higher vibration or not. We're fucked. There's not like we have a choice.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we don't really have a choice.
Well, I just think that the mark of an enlightened person at this point is you understand culture is not as important when it's just framed in phenotype, dietary law, geography. What do you eat? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you look like? Right? And that's the way that this tribalism shit has been promoted. It's like maybe a more important decision when you start talking about culture is values. Maybe values and ethics is more important than phenotypes and fucking shared cuisine. And so I was just like, look, maybe what I'm saying, fuck Tostones. Maybe I'm not interested.
Now, I don't give a shit if you put
blasphemy.
I don't give a fuck if you put raisins in your potato salad. I care less about. I don't give a shit about that.
We're too deep now.
But we don't.
Much.
I don't care.
No, hold on.
That's trash.
But listen,
cracker ass.
Hold on.
You Mayo sapien. Fucking Mayo sapien.
But if you look, we share values on everything else about what's proper, how a man should live, how he should treat his family, family, how he should treat his neighbors, how he should build society, how he should mete out resources. We got all this in line, and you just want to load up. You want to make your potato salad 38% dried cranberries? Have at it. Yeah. We don't have to eat together.
You're right.
I'd rather have people I would never want to eat with than people we eat all the same shit, but you're perfectly comfortable fucking somebody up.
Would you rather have a man living on your compound who likes raisins in his potato salad or beats his wife?
Right.
Like, I mean, they go hand in hand. Those go hand in hand.
There's an overlap in there somewhere.
For real.
People that like raisins in potato salad probably beat their wife.
That's called a Pinellas Park punch out right there.
And ironically,
that's Pinellas Park.
Those are all interracial relationships.
Raisins in the cornbread?
Those are all interracial relationships.
What's wrong with you, bitch?
Yeah. White woman puts raisins in a potato salad. Black husband goes to jail for domestic violence.
And then it's white supremacy.
Right.
And everybody else is like, nah, dude, she did put cranberries in the cornbread. She had no choice. It was raisins.
Bro, you remember Chappelle's Trading Spouses episode?
Oh, yeah. I found your lightsaber.
Oh my God, bro.
Gosh, dude. Genius shit.
That shit's timeless.
And we were more mature about shit 15 years ago.
Yeah, agreed. Well, and it's this, bro, I think I told you guys this, but my homeboy's English, he was telling me 10 years ago about what was coming because it happened in England. And he was like, it's worse than you think. And I remember at the time being kind of a bleeding heart, being like, nah, Bernie Sanders is God or whatever I was on, and like, it's true. The left is I mean, conservative people are nuts too, but like the left is wilding the fuck out. And it's so much more insidious because it's dressed up in like intellectualism.
That shit we care about. Like, don't you care about black people? Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of care. Well, you're a fucking racist. What? Yeah. What? How did this conversation took a turn?
Meanwhile, Chicago is Judgment Night, and it's been Democratic run for 30 years. The most dangerous place in the country, bro.
That's why aligning it behind the idea of black people is problematic, or any color people. If you're saying I want to help black people, it's like there's problems there. There's problems there because it's too much going on under the umbrella of black people.
I want to help people 100%. Who know they need to leave on a compound. That's what I want to help.
Right.
I want to help people who have the foresight to say, all right, this Babylon is falling. Let's build some dome houses.
Right. Those are the people I want to help, no matter what color they are. I want to help people who don't want to commit fucking gang violence, who don't want to kill their ops. Those are the people I want to help. If you're in the stage of your life where you actively looking for people to kill because they live on a different number street than you, I can't help you. I have nothing for you. The only thing I have for you is making my example visible so that maybe one day you'll stumble across a podcast or a video we make from the compound or a song I drop or something, and maybe the universe can make it so that you're at a crossroads where whatever breadcrumb that was left behind can crystallize and create some change in you. But I don't personally have the bandwidth or energy. I don't want to take on the emotional labor of engaging you directly to explain to you why you shouldn't murder people because they live on a different street or because they wear red instead of blue. I got nothing for you if that's where you at. I can't help you.
My one non-starter would be you have to be able to recite the lyrics to Juicy verbatim or you're not allowed.
That's it.
We did this before with songs. You gotta have
there.
Yeah, for me to help you with my philanthropy, you got to make me a 7-song mixtape. Any 7 songs you want. Show me who you are. Yep. Any 7 songs you want that explain the most about who you are and how you see the world. Give me your 7 songs, and I'll decide if you deserve my philanthropy.
And there better not be no Macklemore on there.
No, I'm not giving you no caveats. I'm not gonna say nothing. You give me 7 Beatles songs if you want. You know what I'm saying? But these 7 songs is gonna decide how I move forward with my philanthropy. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Freebird might be a shoe-in. If you put Freebird in it, you're getting something. You might not get everything, but you're getting some money from me if Freebird is one of your 7 songs.
Pecan pie is all they get for that. Just the pecan pie.
You get a slice of pecan pie. It's right. You take it on your way out. Exit through the gift shop, motherfucker. No, I can't. Yeah, I just can't. Like I said, all I'm willing to give is my example anyway at this point until I have escape pod money. Like I don't have the wherewithal right now to be like, all right, let's organize a fucking soup kitchen or feed the poor. Like I see where it helps. I see where there's some people who are totally aligned with that level of work and they want to hand out some sandwiches and it's awesome and people need to eat and I think that's beautiful. But that's not where I can apply myself right now. I just don't have it. I need to sequester myself. I need to keep my head covered. I need to be enjoying my experience as much as I possibly can so I can farm my own creativity to create revenue streams. Once I create revenue streams, and then I can go out and get a little bit more into the ground level work. I can delegate that shit and put some money out.
But 2% of your portfolio will be allocated to Cheeto Slurry. Cheeto Slurry Industries will be held in the portfolio. We'll farm the work out to somebody.
Yeah, oh yeah, I give a lot of the the financial business over to Mr. K. Menestein here. His people invented logistics and money and counting and saving and all of that stuff was invented by his people. So I just basically I just do my part over here. But when he gives me financial advice, I listen. Sponsored by Race Traders. Kick your financial future into high gear. Race Traders is our favorite financial institution, by the way. But yeah, man, this shit is it's crazy that we have to talk about it. But again, I think it definitely
it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It lets people it lets people know where we stand with this shit. There's a lot of hustlers out here who are tapping into the race game, and that's not what we're doing over here. We're not tapping. We're a racially diverse group. There is a hierarchy, and the Jewish person is at the top. Just
Bro, you know what would have been. You know what would have been the hardest thing to do to that video with those people saying like white people are this, white people are that, is to then show their bank account balance right after that and be like, now what? Because that's really what time it is. Like, you're still broke. We're all, you know what I'm saying? We're arguing with each other. Meanwhile, we don't have access to the resources, and that's what's really going on. Yeah. Really,
rich people don't talk like that.
Yo, hell no.
And whether it's because some people will tell you it's because of fear. If you talk like that, they'll take your money. I don't believe it's because of fear. I believe that when you get access to enough resources to where you can have like some leisure lifetime, you can actually rest, your bills are paid, you can fly to another country for vacation and shit, you start getting attention and you got power and influence, I think it changes the way you think. I think you could take average
you're not looking for shit to be unhappy about.
Right. Take the average militant dude and give him $100 million and turn him loose. Is he going to start building schools and feeding homeless black children, or is he going to Vegas to get blown by a white stripper? I think we know which one's going to happen.
Man, dreams and aspirations, the way that it's set up for us in our current system is definitely dictated on resource, because I've gone from having low six figures in the bank to having to borrow money from friends. And I'm not dreaming as big right now. And I'm working on that. But that's the whole magic trick around all of it is like we believe that it has to be backed up by a bank account number or whatever. And that's how we, get our power removed from us. And then we're like putting our energy, not us, because we're looking at it fourth dimensionally in a way. But when you're actually engaged on some quality shit and you're getting gray hairs over this shit, you're not making money while you're doing that. You know what I'm saying? You're not figuring out a way to build legacy wealth. You're arguing over this like very superficial thing, and that's all part of it, man. It's all part of it.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same word too. It's the same word. Like what's valuable in society, like what is something of value, and what your values are, right? And not all the time. Like your values will keep you from getting shit that's valuable under this current model. And that's why there is something systemic about it that we all feed into, that we make this shit valuable. We with our attention and with our money and everything else, we validate it to say, oh yeah, and it creates those incentives for why people will present some shit that will turn out being monetarily valuable, right? But it's not in tune with what's really of high value. Like the values of the culture that gets rewarded. It is sick. I wouldn't call it necessarily all white supremacy, right?
No.
But there is something sick about the way that the world's values are organized, and in order for you to prosper in that context, it does kind of make you want to think like, I need it to kind of all tumble down, and we do need to kind of restart. But I don't want Klaus Schwab at the fucking helm. Like, all right, we're going to rebuild, and you're going to live in the box and eat the bugs. Like, That's not.
Bro, I look around, I'm like, man, I've been a good person, bro. Like, how do these crooked motherfuckers have all this money and they have a horrible track record? And so it's like, similarly to like releasing music, you know, and I'm sure Don can say it too. It's like you put music out, nobody hears it, or the way they dictate value now is numbers. You put something out and it doesn't get traction, it just has an innate feeling of why am I doing this? And then you lose track of the joy and the value of the participation in the art in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like only the number, only the monetary. It's like, bro, it changes, it robs us of our joy. The way that capitalism is set up. It's like, well, if you ain't got this many numbers and ain't, you know, you ain't shit. It must not be good art. And it's like, what do you mean? Like this shit is fire. Like, what are you talking about? But the consistency and like trying to stay afloat as an artist in America is like, bro, artists are soldiers, bro. People who actually have focused on doing art for a living are gangsters, in my opinion. It's really difficult to do.
Yeah, if you don't catch one of those lucky waves where you just happen to be in the right circles with the right people, I think it just mostly comes down to not giving a shit, you know, not really giving a fuck. I think that's what most of the people who are, well, they said, like, you know, that psychopath tendency, right? The people who have those types of mind states, they don't care about nothing. So they make decisions, they take more risks, they do these things that end up making them fruitful. And it's not necessarily that you got to be evil to make money or anything like that. You just got to not give a fuck. You got to be willing to do whatever you want to do and not really care what other people think about it. Like that seems to be one of the most common denominators in being successful in anything. It's just not giving a shit. Because when you overthink, who are you overthinking for? You're overthinking for a group of minds that you can never really know. You can't know what people are going to like. You can't know what they're going to think is dope. You can't know what's going to go viral. So you just got to be doing what you're doing and learning to document and everything like that, because if you're just chasing ideas or what you think is going to be hot, you can chase that forever. Or you could just do what you're doing authentically and grow a real group of people who want to see what you're up to and follow what you're doing, because that's just what they're interested in. But chasing shit is never, it doesn't seem to work for most people. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to work for most people. So I think just not giving a fuck, which is exactly the place that I'm approaching right now, artistically, creatively. It's just like not giving a shit. You just got to do whatever it is that you do.
Shit will involve you selling your soul easy.
See, I don't think souls is transactional. I think I don't think you can sell.
I think when you're sucking a penis for an opportunity.
Nah, some people just like sucking penises, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people was gonna give giving somebody a BJ because they invited you over their house to watch a Netflix movie. So you kind of like the person, so you feel obligated to blow him while you're there. Versus, I'm gonna blow this guy to be in a movie. What's the difference? Did she sell her soul on a date because she blew her boyfriend or a guy she wanted to be her boyfriend versus blowing a guy to get in a movie? I don't think you can sell your soul. I think anything that you're willing to do is what you're willing to do. So if you go to Hollywood and they say, you know what, man, I like the way you act and you got the look and all of that. But if you want to be
gangbang rape scene,
if you want to be in this movie, me and my 74-year-old friend are gonna have to penetrate you anally. If you say no, that's just not the life path for you. If you say yes, then that's just what that's within the realm of what you're willing to do to get shit done. You didn't sell your soul. You just you did something you were willing to do. Because there's another person who they say, yeah, you can be in this movie, you just gotta blow me. There's another person who's gonna beat up everybody in the room for making that suggestion. You know what I'm saying? And that person didn't sell their soul because they just whooped all y'all asses. So if you decided to just blow the pipe instead, that's a game you can play. Who am I to say? I don't know that your soul's gone or that you sold it or you did. Can you sleep at night? Maybe you will sleep at night. I don't know. I don't think souls can be sold though. So if you're on your way out to Hollywood, you're gonna do something strange for a piece of change, your soul still belongs to you. It's not gone. It's gone. You can't sell souls. You didn't get a receipt.
It wasn't worth it. That's the question you need to ask yourself.
Hey, yeah, you ask yourself, and only you can answer that question. Nobody can tell you, bro, it wasn't worth blowing all those guys. That's not our decision to make. You have to decide whether it was worth it to blow all those guys. That's totally up to you. And
well, the difference was Harvey Weinstein looked like Ben Grimm. You know what I'm saying? That's like the issue.
But could he get you in a movie?
If he was good looking, that's
could
what
he
I'm
get
saying.
you in
If
a
it was
movie?
Brad Pitt, nobody would care.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, nobody would care. Brad Pitt would be like, bro, it's too many blowjobs. Like I can't even.
Brad Pitt got rape fantasies. He could rape women all day long.
Hey, listen, we got to talk about the rape fantasies. I'm gonna get that paperwork together for an upcoming episode. What was it like? 60-something% of women, 68% of women have rape fantasies, and only it was almost 70% of women have rape fantasies, and then within the women who have rape fantasies, a small percentage of them reported that when they do think about it, they have an adverse emotional reaction. So like it makes them sick that they thought about a rape. But the overwhelming majority of them said it was either erotic or they felt both erotic and emotional aversion to it. So they're just completely weirded out. But yeah, a lot of women have rape fantasies, and also a large percentage of women who have had rapes and sexual assaults say they had orgasms during their rapes. They needed therapy for it to try to figure out why they had an orgasm during rape. While also simultaneously, almost 70% of women report not being able to have orgasms from penetration sex with their partner. Can't have orgasms with their partner, but they're having orgasms during rapes, which is, I don't know if that means anything. It's just a really interesting data set for me. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but it's fucking pretty wild.
Makes you look at the world different.
It's a rabbit hole. It's definitely a rabbit hole that I'm interested in, like, boggling my own mind with. Briefly. I'm not going too deep into it. I just thought it was pretty interesting.
Just rub the titties.
Tread lightly.
Yeah, that's what tread lightly means in the Dangerverse. Just rub the titties. That's all you do. Like, you don't get deep. You don't fully undress and have slow sex with the conspiracy theory. You just rub the boobs a little bit, and then you leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? You don't go all the way. Just rub the boobs a little.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And if it's a real good one, you might actually get a little bit closer. But I think rubbing the boobs is the safest description we can have, with just warning people about getting too deep into internet rabbit holes. Don't go too deep. Don't jump in raw. Just rub the titties and get out of there, bro. So when you start searching about aliens and is the world flat, just don't get caught with your pants down. All you got to do is rub the titties and get out of there. Trust me, it's worth it. You'll feel fine. You won't be embarrassed afterwards. It's all good. It's all good. But I think I'm about to wrap it up, fellas, and try to find me something to do with the rest of this beautiful evening. The weather's awesome. I'm tired. I went out dancing. I took my wife out dancing. I didn't really dance much. It's not masculine. So I just I just sat on a bar stool with like a really menacing look while she was dancing, so nobody would come near her. That's usually how we break that down. But it was dope. So we had a dope night last night. I mean, you know, maybe a little. I do still have a tiny bit of dinosaur bigotry inside of me that I'm working out. I'm trying to make sure it's all, you know.
We're from the 90s.
It's flat ironed out. Yeah, you know, it's a long time. We're dinosaurs in this game, so you can't expect people to just completely wash away all their bigotry right away. We got to work on it. You know, not everybody's, you know, some of us still like our women old-fashioned without penises. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way it is, you know?
With menstrual
honestly, that's why you got to stay away from black people, you know?
Yeah, because, you know, shit gets weird, man. Shit gets weird. But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate everybody making some time to mind this absurdity with us today. You're always appreciated. Everybody who tuned in to listen, shout out to the chat. Everybody who came in, tell Devon we said what's up. And he sent us over a lot of loyal listeners, people who've been showing up, tapping in with us every week. So y'all are greatly appreciated, man. So definitely looking forward to the next build. I'm going to have some rape fantasy stats for us all to dive into. Just rub the titties just a little bit. We ain't going to get too deep. But, yeah, man, y'all enjoy the rest of the evening, and I'm sure we'll all be talking soon.
Suckle my dick. We solved racism.
Hey, stay black.
Stay black. All right, y'all fellas, take it easy. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Peace, y'all.
Bless.
Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.